Chapter 1, The first deal with the pretend father. In the warm spring of March, ripples danced across Emerald Water Lake within the Chancellor's estate, small birds perched on willow branches by the lake, occasionally taking flight. By the railing of Emerald Water Lake, Luna White, dressed in a white morning garment and floral skirt, stood leaning, gazing down at the lake's surface. Her delicate face was drenched in tears, revealing utter despair. Why was she the only one so unfortunate? Both daughters of the same father, why was there such a vast difference? Marrying her off to the Ghost King, wasn't that just wishing for her death? Vincent Knight, also known as the Ghost King, was known for his brutal nature and love of slaughter. It was said that any woman who stepped into the Knight estate vanished from the world. Thinking of this, Luna White couldn't hold back the tears streaming down her face. Since death was inevitable, it was better to die quickly and be done with it, rather than fulfill their wishes. With that thought, Luna White closed her eyes and threw herself into Emerald Water Lake, dozens of meters deep. Not good. The eldest miss jumped into the lake. Help! A young maid who had been following behind, upon seeing this, her face paled, turned, and ran, crying for help as she went. The maid's cries quickly attracted the household staff, and together they pulled Luna White out of the lake. What happened? A man dressed in red official robes embroidered with crane images, about 40 years old, with a square, dignified face, sternly asked. Master, Miss. Miss jumped into the lake. The young maid named, Luna White's personal attendant, cried as she recounted the events. Chancellor White furrowed his brow, stepped forward, and seeing Luna White lying there, eyes closed, face pale, said, Steward Lu, quickly summon a physician, make sure she wakes up, don't let it interfere with tomorrow's wedding. Steward Lu, hearing this, was momentarily stunned, but immediately reacted, Yes, master, I'll go right away. The others quickly carried Luna White back to her room. Soon, the physician arrived. In the old, simple room, Chancellor White sat with a furrowed brow, stood beside the physician, sobbing. How is she? Chancellor White hastily asked. Your Excellency, the young miss has only caught a chill, her life is not in danger. Allow this old man to administer acupuncture. As the old physician spoke, he took out his acupuncture kit, withdrew a long needle, and aimed it at her philtrum. However, before the needle could touch her, the seemingly unconscious person suddenly opened her eyes, grabbed the physician's wrist, and coldly said, What are you doing? I am the physician here to treat you, miss. The old physician was startled by Luna White's action. Treat me? Luna White furrowed her brow, a shadow of darkness flickered in her sharp eyes. Miss? Who, Miss is finally awake, seeing Luna White awake, cried tears of joy. Miss? Who was that? Luna White released the physician's hand and observed the room. The place was too simple, completely different from the luxury of her own home. Moreover, as a special agent, she had no servants. Seeing that the clothes of these people were all ancient garments, surely no one would be so free as to bring her to a film set. But, she should be dead. Dead in the explosion, dead at the hands of that man. So what was this situation? Filled with doubt, Luna White silently observed the people in the room. You may leave now. Chancellor White dismissed the physician with a wave of his hand, then turned to Luna White with a feigned concern, Are you feeling any discomfort? Upon hearing this, Luna White looked towards Chancellor White, and as she did, it felt as if something exploded in her mind. Memories that weren't hers flooded in. Humiliation, verbal abuse, ostracization by her family, forced marriage, and ultimately, suicide. All the despair poured into her consciousness. These were the memories of Luna White in this world. So she had transmigrated. Understanding this, a flicker of coldness flashed in Luna White's eyes, but it quickly vanished as she looked at Chancellor White and said coldly, I'm fine. Luna White's tone surprised Chancellor White. But immediately after, his brows furrowed, How dare you speak to me in such a manner? How do you expect me to speak to someone who's about to throw me into the fire? Luna White looked at the man with a sneer, the influx of memories leaving her with no fondness for this supposed father. Chancellor White was choked by her words, his face alternating between pale and flushed, before finally saying coldly, "Considering you're to be married tomorrow, I'll let this slide." Married? Luna White laughed, a chilling coldness that shouldn't belong to her appearing on her beautiful face. "Who told you I'm getting married? The Emperor's decree, you cannot refuse." Chancellor White said coldly. "What if I die?" Luna White countered. "What do you mean?" Chancellor White was startled. If Luna White died, the decree would fall upon Stella White. Thinking of this, his face paled, and he hastily asked, "What do you want?" "It's not that I won't marry, but I want you to prepare a few things for me." Luna White looked at Chancellor White, her voice cold. "What things?" "First, I want you to prepare a document stating that once I'm married, I'll have no further ties to the Chancellor residence, and our father-daughter relationship will be severed." "What are you saying?" Chancellor White immediately flew into a rage. Luna White ignored his anger and continued, "Second, I want you to prepare 100,000 taels of silver for me personally. The dowry is your own affair." "Impossible." "Third, I want deed of sale." "Everything but the third condition is unacceptable." Chancellor White's face turned purple with rage. Hearing this, Luna White looked at him and sneered, "It seems you still don't understand my position. I'm not asking for your opinion, I'm telling you what you must do. I have nothing to lose, death would be a release. But you? Can you bear to push your beloved second daughter to her death? Then the first and third conditions are acceptable." Chancellor White's face was unsightly, but he held his ground. Humph. Was the original owner of this body worth less than 100,000 taels in his eyes? Luna White's disdain grew, but her face remained calm as she looked at Chancellor White with cold eyes. "I've already said, you don't have a choice. Either agree to all three conditions, or let your precious second daughter die with me." "Child." Chancellor White's forehead pulsed with a blue vein, he wished he could strangle Luna White. But at the same time, he was suspicious. Why did this daughter seem like a different person? Normally, she wouldn't have this kind of temper. Even if he forced her to marry, she wouldn't dare to object. Why now? Chancellor White's heart was full of suspicion. Chapter 2, I'm not a soft persimmon to be squeezed. Have you thought it through? I don't have the patience to wait. As she spoke, Luna White pulled out the hairpin from her head and held it against her neck. If you don't agree, I'm afraid this thing will pierce my neck in the next second, and then you can also take care of the funeral for your precious second miss. Luna White's actions frightened Chancellor White so much that he couldn't sit still. He stood up and hurriedly said, Don't be impulsive, I promise you, I promise you." Hearing Chancellor White say that, Luna White smiled with satisfaction. "Then, bring the things tomorrow morning, I will get married, otherwise, I will die here." "Child." Humph. Chancellor White was so angry that he didn't want to say another word to Luna White. As for Luna White, she was at ease. After Chancellor White left, the smile on her face disappeared, replaced by a calm expression. Transmigration, this kind of thing is really too mysterious. But, if she could live again, this was naturally a good thing. Stretching out her hand, Luna White looked at the slender fingers of the woman, her eyes flashing. In this life, she must live freely, not letting anyone bind her. Completely severing ties with this family was the first step, then getting rid of that ghost king. Next, she would be free. Thinking of this, a trace of anticipation appeared on Luna White's face. Mississippi stared blankly at Luna White, frightened by her aura just now. Hearing this, Luna White looked towards, her eyes unconsciously softening. This little maid had been with the original owner for more than 10 years, even though the original owner was not loved and even caused her to suffer, she remained wholeheartedly loyal. She liked loyal people, even if this loyalty didn't belong to her. Thinking this in her heart, Luna White softly said, "What is it? Miss, do you really want to sever ties with the old master? He is your father. But he personally pushed me into the fire pit, clearly knowing it could kill me. Remember, never be merciful to those who harm you." Luna White said, her eyes cold. Miss wanted to speak but hesitated, only feeling that her miss had become a different person. "Alright, go rest, you must be very scared today, right? Tomorrow I'm getting married, you'll be very busy then." Luna White dismissed and also lay down to rest. Too many things had happened. If she didn't rest well, tomorrow she might not have the energy to deal with unexpected situations. Getting married is absolutely the most cumbersome thing in this world. First you have to give betrothal gifts, and it has to be done in multiple installments. However, for Luna White, it was just an imperial edict, a bridal palanquin. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, entered Luna White's room. Miss, it's time to get up and put on your makeup. The matrons are all waiting outside," said as she was about to lift Luna White's blanket, but as soon as she touched the corner of the blanket, Luna White suddenly sat up, jumped down, landed steadily, her face alert. "Miss, what's wrong?" jolted, startled. Seeing it was, Luna White relaxed. She almost forgot she had transmigrated, no longer the Luna White who could be killed at any moment. Years of heightened vigilance had become habit. Luna White retracted her aura before speaking. "I thought someone was sneaking up on me." Was stunned by Luna White's words, then replied, "Miss, the matrons are waiting outside." "Is that so?" Luna White murmured, then pushed the door open. Outside, 4 matrons in brown attire stood solemnly at the door. "Where are my things?" Luna White asked. "The Chancellor said to give them to you after you board the palanquin." A matron in charge stepped forward and spoke. Hearing this, Luna White glanced at her. "Then wait until I'm in the palanquin before you apply my makeup." "How can that be?" the matron exclaimed urgently. "If not, then give them to me quickly. Don't play any tricks." Luna White grew impatient. Hearing this, the matron thought for a moment, then reluctantly handed the box to Luna White. Opening the box, Luna White looked at the items inside, then began to apply her makeup. For women, applying makeup is always the most time-consuming task. Starting around 3 in the morning, she continued until daybreak, when the palanquin arrived at the door, and Luna White's appearance was finally complete. In the bronze mirror, Luna White's face was exquisite, her phoenix eyes lively, her long eyelashes slightly furrowed, utterly charming. She wore a red wedding dress, layer upon layer, embroidered with a magnificent phoenix. Although her marriage to the Ghost King wasn't considered important, nothing was missing from the phoenix crown and wedding attire. The phoenix crown on her head further enhanced her noble aura. It had to be said, the original owner of this body was truly beautiful. Not only was Luna White amazed, even, who always attended her, was stunned by Luna White's appearance. The young miss never wore makeup on ordinary days. Today, with makeup on, she truly outshone the second miss, known as the capital's most beautiful woman. Yet, such a beautiful young miss had to marry the Ghost King. Thinking of this, S' face darkened. Perhaps after today, both she and the young miss would be dead. Felt helpless, and the matrons also felt a pang of regret. They usually knew the second miss was beautiful, but they didn't expect the first miss to be even more so. Finished? Luna White's voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. First miss, it's done. The wedding palanquin is outside urging us. We should board quickly. After the previous exchange with Luna White, the matron knew how difficult she was to deal with, so she spoke respectfully. Hearing this, Luna White nodded. The palanquin was waiting in her courtyard. Placed the red veil over her, and then she was helped into the palanquin. Followed alongside. The palanquin thus began its journey. At the main gate, Chancellor White and his wife came to see her off, slipping some silver to the palanquin bearers, then shooing them away. As they left, the White residents lit firecrackers and hurriedly closed the mansion gates, not at all like they were sending off a daughter. Knight Mansion was some distance from the Chancellor residence, and the palanquin was carried for more than half an hour before arriving. "The bride has arrived," the matchmaker called out loudly. The sound of the main gate opening was heard, and not long after, a hand, beautiful enough to rival a woman's, reached in. This was. Luna White placed her hand on the man's palm and followed him into the ceremony hall. There were no guests in the hall, nor was there an officiant. It seemed only the matchmaker was present. First, bow to heaven and earth. The silence here aroused suspicion in Luna White's heart. Second, bow to the ancestors. The matchmaker's voice echoed again. However, this time the man seemed to not kneel. Bride and groom, bow to each other. Take her to the bridal chamber. As the matchmaker finished speaking, she was led away. Miss, horrified, wanted to call out to her mistress, but an old man who had been standing guard there covered her mouth. She could only watch helplessly as Luna White was led away. Chapter 3, Scoundrel, let me go. They say that the wedding night and the moment one's name is listed on the golden board are the two most important events in a person's life. A daughter has no golden board to aspire to, so the most important event is this wedding night. However, Luna White and Ghost King Vincent Knight's wedding night was too hasty. Just as they entered the room, Luna White felt a strong push from behind, sending her stumbling forward. She staggered, falling onto the bed. The veil slipped down, and she turned her head, meeting the narrow, elongated phoenix eyes of the man who had just brought her in. Looking into those eyes, Luna White gasped. Not for any other reason, but for the coldness and murderous aura within them. As a special agent in the modern era, she had met all kinds of people, and knew quite a few assassins, but she had never seen such a heavy murderous aura. Did this man want to kill her? The thought had just crossed her mind when the man was suddenly in front of her. He moved with lightning speed, one hand seizing her neck, lifting her entire body. The force was so strong that it made it impossible to breathe. Luna White's face flushed red, she glared angrily at the man close at hand. This man was very handsome, with a beautiful oval face, delicate eyebrows, narrow, elongated phoenix eyes, and a tear mole at the corner of his eye that made him look even more enchanting. His nose was high and straight but not rough, and his thin lips were slightly pale, making him look like a frail, beautiful man. But this frail-looking man was now tightly gripping her neck, a blatant murderous aura between his brows. Despite being held tightly by the man, Luna White continued to stare straight at him. Her attitude seemed to arouse the man's interest. He looked at her, sneered, and asked with amusement, "How do you want to die?" The man's voice was bewitching and hoarse, making one's heart pound. Hearing this, Luna White's eyelids twitched, anger flared up, she raised her head to look at the man, the corner of her mouth curled into a mocking smile, she struggled against his grip on her neck, gritted her teeth and said, "I want to die with you." Luna White was held tightly by him, so these words were almost forced out of her throat. Hearing this, the man seemed to have heard something very amusing and laughed. He was already very handsome, but this smile still stunned Luna White. The man's exquisite phoenix eyes flashed with amusement as he looked at the woman he was holding captive, like a hunter looking at his prey. Luna White felt a little uncomfortable under his gaze, so she frowned and said, "What are you laughing at?" Towards the man who had just appeared and wanted to take her life, her heart was filled with indignation. Then she saw him suddenly release his hand, letting her go. Luna White's eyes darkened, she rubbed her neck, feeling a bit aggrieved. There was definitely a mark. What was wrong with this man? Was he really Ghost King Vincent Knight? Although she didn't know how ancient weddings were conducted, they couldn't be that different from modern weddings, right? Trying to strangle the bride as soon as they met, what kind of rhythm was this? Luna White didn't understand, but now wasn't the time to think about this issue. She sat up cautiously, looking at Vincent Knight, not daring to breathe loudly. This man was very dangerous, able to approach her in an instant, and could even easily kill her. "What's your name?" Just as Luna White was cautiously on guard, a pleasant male voice sounded again, husky with a hint of amusement, giving off a carefree impression. Having just experienced the boundary between life and death, Luna White understood that she absolutely couldn't confront this person directly. Luna White thought to herself, getting out of bed, rising slightly and bowing, following ancient etiquette as she said, "My lord, my surname is White, my name is Luna." "Luna?" Vincent Knight softly murmured her name, his naturally magnetic voice making it sound like he was whispering to a lover. "Yes, my lord," Luna White obediently replied. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, pulled a chair over, sat in front of her, and asked, "Why do you want to marry me?" "To live." Luna White said softly, already having a way to deal with Vincent Knight. To get along with this kind of person, firstly, one couldn't be in a weak position, and secondly, one couldn't be too strong. It was necessary to skillfully make him feel that she was within his control, but also an intelligent woman, very suitable to keep by his side. To live. Interesting. Then do you know that if I had acted just now, you would be dead? Vincent Knight continued to ask, looking at Luna White as if he was looking at something very interesting. "But I'm still alive now," Luna White said calmly, trying to show her composure. Then, a strange silence fell between the two. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White. This woman, born incredibly docile and lovely, was the typical delicate beauty. But her personality was definitely not as it appeared on the surface. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, and at the same time, Luna White was also looking at Vincent Knight. This man was too dangerous. She definitely had to find a chance to escape. Before that, she would temporarily deal with him. Both of them had their own thoughts. Then, just as Luna White was wondering if he would ask anything else, Vincent Knight suddenly stood up and walked out. "Where is my lord going?" Luna White hastily asked. "I want some peace and quiet. You stay here obediently and wait. From tomorrow onwards, you can take charge of everything in the manor. But remember, I hate women who think they're clever." After saying that, Vincent Knight pushed the door open and left. With Vincent Knight gone, Luna White breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed she had passed the test. In the joyous bridal chamber, Luna White looked by the candlelight, observing the exquisitely decorated, magnificent room. Each item here, if placed in the modern era, would be a rare collectible. The red blanket was made of high-quality silk, and the dragon and phoenix patterns embroidered on it were also made of premium gold thread. In the corner of the room was an antique shelf, the items displayed on it were priceless. In the memories of the original owner of this body, there was some understanding of these things. Therefore, she only needed a glance to know their value. "When I escape, I must take these with me." After observing the room, Luna White sighed. Then she heard a loud knock on the door from outside. Luna White heard it, her eyes turned cold, and she asked, "Who is it?" "Miss, it's me," voice came from outside, but it carried a hint of crying. Hearing this, Luna White opened the door and saw, along with the old man from the main hall earlier, standing at the door. Chapter 4, A Narrow Escape. "Oh, miss, thank goodness, you're all right." I thought, seeing Luna White standing unharmed before her, was immensely relieved. Heaven knew how terrified she'd been when that foul old man brought her here and told her to take the miss's body back. "I'm fine, see." Luna White stared blankly at. In her past life, she had no companions, no friends. Now, demeanor left her slightly dazed. She truly couldn't abandon this loyal maid. Mississippi choked back a sob. "All right, don't cry. You go in first," Luna White said, her gaze falling upon the old man. He was stunned to see her alive. Noticing the red mark on her neck, he abruptly knelt, "Princess consort. Rise." The Ghost King has just stepped out, saying I may decide the future of the estate. If there's nothing else, you may withdraw. Luna White spoke with a serious expression. Hearing this, the old man hastily replied, yes. I'll take my leave. He then respectfully retreated. However, what Luna White didn't see was the gleeful expression on the old man's face as he withdrew. Their Ghost King had finally chosen his princess consort. After the old man left, watched Luna White close the door, her face etched with distress. Luna White finally understood. It seemed killing the bride on the wedding night was the Ghost King's custom. In that case, her survival seemed like a stroke of luck. From today onwards, we'll stay here for the time being. The Ghost King said I'll manage the estate, but you know, this isn't a place for us to remain long-term. Luna White looked at and spoke seriously. Yes, miss, replied with equal gravity. Seeing understood her thoughts, Luna White breathed a sigh of relief. If, when she wanted to leave, thought they could stay in the Ghost King's estate, that wouldn't do. Whether the Ghost King was truly ruthless or not, she couldn't stay here long. Though it was said the ties with the Whites were severed, could such things truly be erased? Night had fallen, yet the night estate was brightly lit, as if it were daytime. In Vincent Knight's study, the lamps burned brightly. Oh. The Ghost King didn't kill that woman. So, he wants an alliance with the Whites. She's hardly worthy of making that old fox of the Whites unconditionally support him, is she? Inside the study, a man in white robes reclined leisurely on Vincent Knight's bed. This man possessed a bewitching appearance, his eyebrows hinting at a murderous aura, his phoenix eyes slightly raised. His entire being resembled a sharp sword, its point exposed, utterly arrogant, his voice matching his demeanor. Candlelight illuminated Vincent Knight's slightly pale face as he shook his head, cough. The Whites aren't my target. She's merely an incident, cough, cough. Vincent Knight finished, then coughed violently. Seeing this, the man on the bed furrowed his brows, rolled off the bed, and said in surprise, an incident? You aren't. The man's words were cut short, silenced by Vincent Knight's gaze. An intriguing woman. Remembering Luna White's face, a smile crept onto Vincent Knight's face. Are you joking? She's a White, Chancellor White is the Crown Prince's man. That woman could be a spy sent by the Crown Prince's faction. The man was clearly dissatisfied with Vincent Knight's attitude. Humph. She can't harm me. As long as we're careful and don't let her discover anything, there won't be a problem. If she truly finds out something, I'll certainly kill her. But before that, consider her a source of amusement for this king. As Vincent Knight spoke, he seemed to remember something, touching his neck, a playful smile appearing in his eyes. Hearing this, the man knew Vincent Knight had made up his mind and said, I've wagered my life on your highness. I hope your highness won't be careless at the last minute. The Crown Prince's faction is currently powerful. If your highness makes any mistakes, you'll lose everything. I know. Vincent Knight nodded, looking at the man and saying, Qing Shui, rest assured, I will absolutely not give up the throne, nor will I yield it to the Crown Prince. Since your highness has said so, I'm relieved. It's getting late, your highness should rest early, don't let your beauty wait too long. Having said that, the man bowed his head and retreated. Vincent Knight sat in his chair, pondered for a moment, finally set aside his work, and headed towards the bridal chamber. Meanwhile, at the bridal chamber, Luna White had long since dismissed to rest, leaving herself alone in the room. She was a light sleeper, and even if she wanted to sleep, she couldn't. Looking through the window paper at the hazy scenery outside, Luna White felt a stir in her heart and opened the window. Just as she was about to lean out, a cold light flashed, and a sharp blade pressed against her neck. Don't move. It was a man's voice, hoarse and slightly trembling. Following his words, the stench of blood filled the room. Maintaining her composure, Luna White slowly raised her head. No sooner had she looked than, heavens. 3 broken swords were embedded in the man's body. His face was ghastly pale, his entire body covered in blood, looking as if he might collapse at any moment. Seeing that Luna White didn't resist, he jumped into the room and backhandedly tightened his grip on her neck. "Hand over all your valuables." Hearing this, Luna White's lips twitched slightly. "Rob her? You're so badly injured, even if I give you everything, could you escape? Want her money? In his dreams. Less nonsense. Hand over the silver." The man's voice began to tremble, perhaps due to excessive blood loss, his body significantly weakened. Luna White could tolerate many things, but she absolutely wouldn't tolerate anyone taking her money. No matter where she was, money was always the foundation of survival. Especially now, she needed a large sum of silver to leave the prince's mansion. How could she let some nameless man take it? Moreover, she wasn't so useless as to let someone so badly injured rob her blind. Thinking this, Luna White's eyes narrowed slightly. She abruptly grabbed the man's hand that was choking her and in a flash, twisted it in the opposite direction. He had decent martial arts skills, but his movements were much slower than normal due to his injuries. A single second's delay was all Luna White needed to break free from his grasp. Kicking the man to the ground, Luna White stepped on his chest, a harmless smile gracing her lovely face. "Still want silver?" Unaware that Luna White knew martial arts, the man beneath her foot felt his gaze darken. Chapter 5. The man who delivered himself. The man, with his deep-set features and cold demeanor, barely changed expression even under Luna White's foot, not even a twitch of his brow. He'd drawn a top-quality dagger, the kind Luna White was intimately familiar with, leading her to an immediate deduction. "You're an assassin, aren't you?" The man's body tensed at her words, a fleeting reaction, but enough to betray him. An assassin indeed. Wounded this badly, you weren't ambushed after an assassination attempt at the manor. So, you came here to escape pursuit? Are your pursuers enemies, or your own organization? Luna White calmly surmised. The man's gaze grew even darker before he finally spoke. "Kill me if you want." "Why should I kill you? You haven't told me why you're being hunted." Luna White continued her questioning, an idea forming in her mind about this man. A critically injured assassin with seemingly decent martial arts skills could be useful, making her life much easier. "I can't reveal that." The man's voice was icy, his refusal halting Luna White's train of thought. All that thinking for nothing if he wouldn't cooperate. Slightly annoyed, she tried a different tack. "If I'm willing to save you, will you tell me then?" "No need. No one in this world can save me." His voice grew weaker, almost inaudible. He seemed to be at his limit. Seeing this, Luna White decided to act quickly. "How can you know without trying? You may think you're beyond saving, but I see you're still alive. How about this, sell yourself to me. I promise you a good future." "Sell, myself?" The man's voice trembled, looking at Luna White as if she were a strange creature. Shouldn't women scream and call for help upon hearing the word assassin? "Yes, sell yourself. If you want to live, if you want silver, sell yourself to me. If not, I'll kill you right now." She picked up his dagger and pressed it against his throat. The man's vision blurred as he looked at Luna White's deceptively innocent face, a hint of resignation in his voice. "If that's the case, then buy me." He had unfinished business, and dying like this was unacceptable. Her promised future might be dubious, but survival was paramount. Because only with life was there a future. With that thought, he lost consciousness. Luna White removed her foot, dragged him onto the bed, tore open his shirt, and began tending to his wounds. Just as she was extracting a broken sword shard from his body, the door creaked open. Luna White stiffened, turning to see a terrified at the door, cursing her ill timing. "Miss? What are you doing?" stared at her mistress tending to a bloodied man on the bed, finally unable to deny the reality before her. "Why are you here?" Luna White plastered a deceptively harmless smile on her face and slowly approached. Took a step back, her eyes filled with suspicion. "You're not my mistress, who are you?" Luna White was momentarily startled but quickly recovered, retorting, "Are you so frightened you've lost your mind? If I'm not your mistress, then who am I?" "You're not miss, you're not," insisted, regardless of Luna White's explanations. Looking at the person before her, S eyes reddened. "I felt something was strange, like Miss had become a different person. I thought it was because of the fall into the lake, but now I see, you're not Miss at all. Miss is terrified of blood, she could never tend to someone's wounds. Are you sent by the Chancellor to impersonate Miss? Where is my real mistress?" Luna White chuckled, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "I am Luna White, your mistress. All these years, you've been by my side, shielding me from the wind and rain, always giving me the best portions of food. That year I was gravely ill, you ran everywhere seeking treatment, and when we couldn't afford medicine, you went up the mountain to gather herbs. Am I right?" Yes frowned, hesitant. Seeing her hesitation, Luna White continued, "I have no mother, it was you and I who endured hardship at the White residence. You suffered humiliation for me, beaten countless times on my behalf. Every time my sister beat me, you would secretly apply precious medicine to my wounds. Am I right?" Yes. S hesitation deepened. These were things only she and Miss knew. But how could she explain what Miss was doing now? "I know you still have doubts. After all, I've changed so much. But do you know why I jumped into the lake? Father forced me to marry Vincent Knight. He said if I didn't, my sister would have to, so I had no choice. Despair, that's all it was. Since I was rescued, I've decided, no matter the cost, I will drag that family down to hell. And this man on the bed, he will be useful to me, so I must save him. Do you know? I'm actually very scared." Luna White finished, bursting into tears. She sobbed, wiping her eyes with her sleeve, her beautiful phoenix eyes tinged with red, a picture of vulnerability. S' heart softened at the sight, and she rushed forward, kneeling, "Miss, please don't cry, it's my fault. I shouldn't have doubted you, please punish me." Luna White's crying ceased abruptly. She looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and said with a hint of resentment, "Of course you'll be punished. Later, you must help me treat this man's wounds. I'm terrified of blood." "Yes, Mississippi." Hearing Luna White's fear of blood, was completely reassured. It seemed she had been wrong, her mistress was still the same mistress. With that thought, she stood up and began tending to the man's wounds. Had no medical training, but she had learned a little from treating Luna White's injuries from past beatings. This was why Luna White felt comfortable letting her handle these external wounds. "Miss, I've finished," respectfully addressed Luna White after treating the facial wounds. You may leave. I'll take care of the rest." Luna White's tone was indifferent. Took this as another sign of her mistress's change and accepted it without question. She bowed and withdrew. After left, Luna White locked the door, looked at the unconscious man, found a few embroidery needles, frowned at the person on the bed. "The tools are crude, it's really impossible to do normal acupuncture, I hope it will be successful. If not, it's your bad luck, don't blame me." After speaking, Luna White stabbed the needle near the heart point, and immediately saw the toxins in his body begin to move. Seeing this, Luna White hurriedly detoxified him. This acupuncture method was something she learned from a doctor when she was still a spy. It was just the first time she used it, whether it would be successful or not still had to be seen. After detoxifying the blood, Luna White was already covered in sweat. Looking at the person on the bed who was still unconscious, Luna White was about to give him some water when she heard a knock on the door. Startled, she dropped the teacup in her hand, and quickly asked, "Who is it?" The person outside the door heard the sound of a teacup breaking in the room, first frowned, then slowly said, "It's this king." Vincent Knight's voice was very pleasant to the ears, hoarse and with a hint of magic. It was clearly the most ordinary words, but when he said them, they sounded like words of love. But at this moment, Luna White was not in the mood to enjoy this voice. As soon as she heard Vincent Knight's voice, Luna White's entire body froze. Oh my God, why is this so unlucky? Just when discovered her, Vincent Knight came. Suppressing the panic in her heart, Luna White glanced at the person on the bed, and immediately made a bold decision. She calmly pulled the person who was being acupunctured under the bed, and even leaned against the wall. Then she let down the bed curtain, quickly threw the bloody things under the bed, smelled the bloody smell in the room, and ruthlessly, she used a piece of broken porcelain to cut her hand, and when she saw the blood flowing out, she felt relieved and stood up to open the door. Why are you so slow? After Luna White opened the door, Vincent Knight looked at Luna White's calm expression and frowned. Hearing Vincent Knight's question, Luna White was not in a hurry, she bowed her head slightly, and said with a smile, "Just now I heard that the prince was coming, I was so happy. When I was cleaning up the broken porcelain on the ground, I accidentally cut my hand, so I was late. I hope the prince will forgive me." Cut my hand? Vincent Knight kept his expression unchanged, being invited into the room by Luna White, smelling the strong smell of blood in the room, he laughed coldly in his heart. This was not just a cut on the hand, it must have been a pig slaughter. The smell of blood was so strong, even if he wanted to hide it, he couldn't hide it. Was his princess that naive? Thinking of this, Vincent Knight didn't expose it, just watching what Luna White was going to do. However, he had underestimated Luna White's shamelessness. He didn't say anything, and she also pretended to be stupid. Luna White smiled harmlessly, looked at Vincent Knight, and said coquettishly, "Does the prince want to consummate the marriage with me?" Hearing this, Vincent Knight did not say anything, quietly took Luna White's injured hand, brought it to his lips, looked at her still bleeding wound, and gently licked it. The soft feeling made Luna White tremble, and looking at Vincent Knight's frivolous actions, a trace of darkness flashed through her eyes, but very quickly, it returned to normal. She skillfully pulled her hand out of Vincent Knight's hand. "My hand is dirty, there's no need to trouble your highness to do this for me. She is this king's princess, it's only natural that this king will treat her when she's injured." Vincent Knight's expression was one of, "I don't mind," almost causing Luna White to break his attack. Is this person crazy? If you want to treat an injury, please use the proper treatment method, okay? For a moment, Luna White really wanted to scold him, but thought that if she said something, it would be even worse if she angered Vincent Knight, so she could only remain silent. Luna White did not speak, and Vincent Knight did not say anything either. But just as the two were sitting still, Vincent Knight's expression suddenly changed, and he suddenly hugged Luna White, laughing loudly. "Ha ha ha, this king has this beauty, there is really nothing to regret. Come, beauty, let this king kiss you again." After speaking, Luna White was placed on the bed. From the moment she was hugged until she was placed on the bed, Luna White's entire body was stiff. She looked at Vincent Knight in a daze, only to see a bright smile on his face, and in his beautiful phoenix eyes, a hazy light shone, believing that anyone who saw him would fall in love. However, even though he was handsome, he could not hide the fact that this person was mentally ill. Luna White looked for a long time, and then with difficulty said a sentence, "Your Highness, are you sick?" A sentence made the smile on Vincent Knight's face stiffen. Seeing Vincent Knight like this, Luna White continued to say, "If your Highness is mentally ill, please don't forget to take your medicine." After speaking, she saw Vincent Knight's expression become even more stiff. In the bright red room, the woman in wedding dress was being held in the arms of the man in groom's dress. The woman with willow eyebrows and phoenix eyes was extremely adorable, while the man looked a bit mysterious and sickly. Luna White frowned, looking at Vincent Knight in front of her, unable to figure out the reason why this person suddenly had a fit, so she could only say, "Your Highness, you are too heavy, can you let me get up first?" However, Luna White's words did not make Vincent Knight stand up. Looking at Luna White struggling to get out, Vincent Knight slightly curled his lips, chuckled, lowered his head and spoke in a voice that only the two of them could hear next to her ear. If you don't want people to say that the Princess of Night Palace was coldly ignored and left unguarded as soon as she arrived at the palace, then cooperate with me. Luna White was not a fool. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately reacted. She looked out the door warily, and in a flash, her head was turned by Vincent Knight, facing him, followed by an enlarged face suddenly pressing closer. Chapter 7. Someone under the bed. Luna White was momentarily taken aback, but quickly regained her composure. Lowering her eyelids, she told herself it was just a play, all for the sake of a peaceful life here. A moment later, Vincent Knight abruptly pushed Luna White away, quickly getting out of bed, feigning avoidance. Has he left? Luna White wiped the corner of her mouth, looking at Vincent Knight and asking. Hearing this, Vincent Knight narrowed his eyes slightly, observing Luna White's actions with a hint of displeasure, but didn't show it, only replying, "Yes, he's gone." "Your Highness, since he's gone, can we discuss our matters?" Luna White looked at Vincent Knight, a familiar harmless smile blooming on her face. "Our matters?" Vincent Knight raised an eyebrow. "Indeed, I am now your Highness's princess. Shouldn't we have a clear discussion?" Luna White's smile brightened. Looking at the cunning expression of the woman before him, Vincent Knight suddenly thought of an animal, a little fox. He really wanted to see what tricks she had up her sleeve. Thinking so, Vincent Knight raised an eyebrow slightly and said casually, "All right, how do you want to discuss this?" Seeing Vincent Knight agree, Luna White rejoiced inwardly, but her face didn't reveal a thing, only speaking seriously, "Your Highness, since you've allowed me to speak, I'll be straightforward." "Go ahead." Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, very curious about what she would say. "Your Highness surely doesn't want to consummate our marriage, right?" Looking at Vincent Knight, Luna White's smile became even more harmless. "So what?" Vincent Knight countered, secretly speculating in his mind. Could this woman be trying to use this to create some kind of scheme? Vincent Knight was suspicious, but Luna White maintained her smile, her eyes sparkling, slowly saying, "As a woman, having to endure an empty room right after marriage, if this gets out, it will definitely affect my reputation negatively. It will also cause your Highness to be gossiped about. How about this, your Highness and I won't interfere with each other's daily lives, but in public, we'll maintain an intimate demeanor, avoiding letting others see anything amiss. How does that sound?" "Just that simple." Vincent Knight was stunned, looking at Luna White with a complicated gaze. He thought she would make a fuss about this, or disagree with the idea of an unconsummated marriage, but unexpectedly, she didn't seem to mind at all. "Just that simple." Luna White smiled harmlessly, her face feigning indifference and generosity, but her heart was filled with careful calculations. To live well in this prince's manor, she first had to get this man to cooperate with her. He certainly didn't want to marry a woman forced upon him, and she didn't want to casually sleep with someone else, so this was a mutual agreement. It wouldn't let outsiders know that she and Vincent Knight had no relationship, nor would it make Vincent Knight dislike her, and most importantly, if she truly found a man she wanted to spend her life with, she could tell him that she was still pure. If it were before, she probably wouldn't have to think about these issues, she could just confess to whoever she liked, but this was ancient times, with a rigid feudal system, and a woman's virginity was extremely important to men. So, she had to consider all these things. Under the candlelight, Vincent Knight looked at Luna White beside him, her features refined and beautiful, her sparkling eyes causing a flicker of emotion within him. But it was only a flicker, quickly disappearing like an ephemeral flower. Looking at Luna White again, his expression returned to its usual coldness. "It's getting late, go to sleep." "Yes, your Highness. But, if your Highness wants to sleep in this room, you'll probably have to sleep on the floor." Luna White remained harmless, finishing her sentence and hopping onto the bed first. "Have me sleep on the floor?" Vincent Knight stared blankly at Luna White jumping onto the bed, slightly caught off guard. This was the first time a woman had asked him to sleep on the floor. The women he usually encountered were either mesmerized by his appearance or intimidated by his status. Someone like Luna White, who didn't seem to regard him highly, was unprecedented. "Does your highness not want to?" Seeing Vincent Knight remain silent, Luna White asked preemptively, cutting off any further possibility of refusal. Looking at Luna White, an enigmatic smile appeared on Vincent Knight's face, his voice calm. "My dear princess, you think too much. It's just sleeping on the floor, I can still manage." Finishing his words, he casually took the blanket from the bed, spread it on the floor, and lay down just like that. His gaze happened to fall upon the space under the bed. The space under the bed was completely obscured, and a gloomy glint flashed in Vincent Knight's eyes. The smell of blood, it was coming from under the bed. What exactly had his princess done? Luna White looked at the man lying on the floor, confirming one thing in her heart. This man knew there was someone in the room from the beginning, but didn't expose her. Such a strong smell of blood wasn't something an ordinary wound would produce. Now he was lying so close to the bed, yet didn't ask, didn't even bother to look, which showed he was intentionally letting her off. Thinking of this, Luna White breathed a sigh of relief, turning her back to Vincent Knight and lying down, gradually drifting off to sleep. Early the next morning, before the rooster even crowed, the steward led a group of maids and servants to the door of Vincent Knight and Luna White's room, preparing to attend to their waking. According to the custom since the founding of the Western Viet dynasty, on the second day after the wedding, the prince had to enter the palace to pay respects to the emperor and empress. The commotion outside woke Luna White, who hadn't rested well due to falling into the water the previous day, and also woke Vincent Knight, who had been lying on the floor all night. The two sat up almost simultaneously, glanced at each other. Vincent Knight stood up and nodded at Luna White, then pricked his finger, letting a drop of bright red blood fall onto a handkerchief. "Since we're putting on a show, we have to do it thoroughly." With that, Vincent Knight turned and walked towards the door. Opening the door, before the steward could speak, he took his clothes from the maid's hands and ordered them to wait outside. The steward looked at the closed door, momentarily unsure what his prince was up to, and could only obediently wait outside. Inside the room. "Put this on, we have to enter the palace to pay our respects to the emperor and empress later." Vincent Knight's voice was very light, his eyebrows furrowing slightly when mentioning the emperor and empress, but quickly returning to normal. Luna White silently looked at the clothes Vincent Knight threw to her, picked them up, and went behind the screen about 10 meters from the bed to change. Chapter 8, The Empress Dowager and the Hidden Words. Though unfamiliar with ancient garments, Luna White managed to dress herself, albeit slowly, due to the elaborate layers. 3 inner layers of thin silk were followed by 3 outer layers of splendid gauze. Pale pink and light rose alternated, deepening in shade, culminating in an outer gauze skirt embroidered with large golden peonies, regal yet ethereal, noble yet elegant. Against Luna White's snow-white skin, the attire created a breathtaking spectacle. Satisfied with her reflection in the bronze mirror, she emerged to find Vincent Knight already attired in a simple, yet exquisite, purple robe. The garment's quality was evident, though its design was unremarkable, yet on him, it radiated magnificence. "Let's go," Vincent Knight said casually, glancing at Luna White. "Yes, Your Highness," she replied obediently. They exited the room together. "Greetings, Your Highness, your royal consort," the steward greeted them, kneeling, followed by 8 handmaidens, their voices clear and melodious. "Rise," Vincent Knight's voice resonated deeply. Luna White simply smiled. "The carriage awaits, Your Highness, your royal consort," the steward announced respectfully. "Let's go," Vincent Knight said to Luna White, gently taking her hand, surprising everyone, and leading her outside. The princely estate wasn't far from the imperial palace. Soon, they arrived at the east gate, the southern gate. As they alighted, a crowd gathered, their gazes fixed on the pair. Vincent Knight, still holding her hand, seemed unfazed by the attention, much to the crowd's astonishment. Under their scrutiny, Luna White and Vincent Knight entered the imperial palace. Vincent Knight led her to the Empress's chambers, the Everlasting Harmony Palace, located in the West Wing, near the Emperor's study. 1,000 years to your Highness. May the royal consort be blessed with 10,000 fortunes. A young woman in a pink palace dress bowed respectfully. Your Highness, your royal consort, Her Majesty invites you in. Clearly, she had been waiting. The Everlasting Harmony Palace was less opulent than Luna White expected, its solemnity creating a palpable tension. One's dwelling reflected their character, she mused, perhaps the Empress was a strict individual. Entering the main hall, however, Luna White was stunned. Noble. Majestic. No words could capture the Empress's presence. She simply sat, observing them silently, yet commanding absolute deference. The Empress's aura was overwhelmingly dominant. The air in the Empress's chambers was chilly, devoid of attendants. As Vincent Knight and Luna White entered, a smile graced the Empress's face. Songner, you've finally brought your royal consort to see me. Mother, Vincent Knight greeted coldly. Mother, Luna White echoed obediently, relying on her fragmented memories of ancient customs. Rise. You've come a long way. Stay for a meal. The Empress smiled warmly. No need. I have matters to attend to, Vincent Knight replied curtly. The Empress chuckled coldly. Matters? I believe you're still resentful about that incident, avoiding me, aren't you? I don't know what Mother is referring to, Vincent Knight remained composed, his grip on Luna White's hand tightening. Luna White glanced at him, curiosity piqued. Who was this man? Capable of choking his bride on their wedding night, yet maintaining such composure before the Empress. The Empress, undeterred, rose from her throne and approached them, her gaze fixed on Luna White, filled with hidden meaning. The royal consort is the daughter of the White family, is she not? Your Majesty, I severed ties with my father upon my marriage, Luna White smiled harmlessly, disavowing any connection to the White family. Vincent Knight stared at her in disbelief. Married to him, without family support or influence, so readily cutting ties, was she not afraid? His astonishment mirrored the Empress's. They had assumed Luna White was a pawn of the White family, spared by Vincent Knight for that reason. It seemed they were mistaken. Then why had he spared her? The Empress, intrigued, scrutinized Luna White. Suddenly, she laughed. I understand why Songner has changed. The royal consort bears a striking resemblance to someone. A resemblance? Luna White echoed curiously. What nonsense are you speaking, Mother? Vincent Knight frowned. Nonsense? Perhaps, the Empress replied vaguely, turning to Vincent Knight. Songner, leave us. I wish to speak with your royal consort. Yes, Vincent Knight's voice remained calm, but his gaze towards Luna White held a hint of apprehension. He hoped she wouldn't cause trouble. If she did, he would eliminate her. The Knight estate needed no mistress, even if this woman intrigued him. His heart had died on that Thanksgiving day, years ago. His conscience had vanished then too. Vincent Knight departed, leaving Luna White alone with the Empress. Luna White's curiosity intensified, particularly after their exchange. They seemed less like mother and son, and more like enemies. The thought startled her. Did the royal consort sleep well last night? The Empress asked abruptly. Luna White, momentarily stunned, quickly recovered. Feigning shyness, she replied, Your Majesty's question leaves me at a loss for words. Consummated? That was the Empress's first thought, followed by utter astonishment. Vincent Knight had fallen for another woman. Suppressing her astonishment, the Empress smiled and continued, If you're shy, then don't say it. A young lady's face is thin. But. The Empress paused, her smile deepening, I wonder if the princess consort has met the crown princess. Reporting to the Empress, Luna has been at home since she was young, rarely going out, so she only knows the Crown Princess by name but has never met her. Luna White smiled in response, harboring a daring and somewhat melodramatic guess about the Empress's purpose. Never met. What a coincidence. The Crown Princess will be here to pay her respects later. You should meet her. The Empress's smile remained gentle. But Luna White felt a deep malice directed at her. Elsewhere, Vincent Knight sat in a pavilion in the rear garden. Long time no see, Your Highness. Inside the pavilion, there was another woman. She wore a bright yellow palace dress embroidered with intricate calligraphy, appearing somewhat chaotic overall, yet fitting her perfectly. Looking closely, she shared a 3/10 resemblance to Luna White. When she smiled, the likeness increased. Vincent Knight looked at the woman opposite him, his brows furrowing slightly, his voice tinged with complexity. Long time no see, Crown Princess. Crown Princess. Ha! Between you and me, when did we become so estranged? The woman's voice held a trace of sorrow. I don't understand what the Crown Princess is saying. Vincent Knight's expression remained calm, offering her not even a smile. His phoenix eyes held a shadow of gloom. Don't understand. The Crown Princess laughed derisively, saying nothing more. A gentle breeze wafted through the pavilion, the two standing silently, neither speaking nor leaving. Vincent Knight's handsome, wild face remained composed, betraying no emotion. The Crown Princess opposite him wore a complex expression, a hint of unwillingness in her heart. Crown Princess, Crown Princess. An anxious call came from outside the pavilion. Hearing this, the Crown Princess looked out. A woman in jade green made attire slowly approached, saying, Why are you alone? Seeing the Crown Princess's question, the little maid glanced awkwardly at Vincent Knight, then whispered in the Crown Princess's ear, His Highness said he didn't want to come. As the maid finished, the Crown Princess's face darkened. She looked awkwardly at Vincent Knight, saying, Your Highness Vincent Knight, I'm lost. Could you accompany me to Everlasting Harmony Palace? Her voice was melodious, like an oriole emerging from its valley. She looked expectantly at Vincent Knight. Hearing this, Vincent Knight frowned slightly. About to refuse, he recalled Luna White left behind at Everlasting Harmony Palace, and said, All right. This single word, all right, brought a joyful smile to the Crown Princess's troubled face. Thank you. With that, they walked together towards Everlasting Harmony Palace. Inside Everlasting Harmony Palace, Luna White and the Empress were engaged in a silent staring contest over tea. This subject greets Mother Empress, may your youth last forever. A clear female voice broke the silence and awkwardness in the room. This subject greets Mother Empress. Vincent Knight's tone remained as indifferent as ever. As they finished speaking, Luna White and the Empress looked towards them. Seeing this, the Empress smiled, while Luna White was astonished. Now, she finally confirmed her suspicion. This woman, bearing a 3/10 resemblance to her, was undoubtedly the Crown Princess the Empress mentioned, and Vincent Knight probably had a deep and unforgettable past with her. Of course, the ending of that relationship was tragic. Now, the woman he loved was married to his elder brother, and he could only live a solitary life. As Luna White imagined the past between Vincent Knight and the Crown Princess, the Empress's voice rang out, Rise. Thank you, Mother Empress. The woman replied respectfully. Hearing this, the Empress's smile brightened, Deep knee, let me introduce you. This is Songer's Princess Consort, the young lady from the White family. Sister-in-law, just call me Luna. Luna White spoke first. As for the Crown Princess, she froze the moment she saw Luna White. After a moment, the Crown Princess forced a smile, Luna. Truly beautiful, no wonder His Highness is fond of you. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Mother Empress, this subject has important matters to attend to, please excuse me. Vincent Knight was somewhat impatient, wishing he could avoid everlasting Harmony Palace forever. Coming here today was already unavoidable, and he ended up encountering the person he least wanted to see. Return. Then you may leave. The princess consort can stay. It's a pity to miss the beautiful scenery in the palace on a rare visit. The empress's tone was firm. Hearing this, Vincent Knight's expression changed, but he didn't leave. Mother Empress, I heard the newly planted peach blossoms in the rear garden are in bloom. Seeing Vincent Knight's reluctance to leave, the crown princess spoke to the empress. Hearing this, the empress naturally understood her intention and said, then go and enjoy the flowers. Consider it a wedding gift from me to the princess consort. A wedding gift of flower viewing? How perfunctory. Luna White thought to herself, but her face expressed delight. Thank you, Mother Empress. The empress then instructed the servants to prepare a palanquin to the rear garden. The empress and Vincent Knight walked ahead, followed by the crown princess. Luna White trailed behind, having no real interest in flower viewing. After a while, Luna White excused herself, feigning fatigue and wanting to rest, staying alone on the east side of the garden. Walking along the east side, Luna White discovered an uninhabited area on the other side of the garden. It was overgrown with weeds, among which a few wildflowers bloomed. This place was strange. Such a place outside the palace wouldn't be unusual, but this was the imperial palace, the most mystical place representing the power of the realm. To have such a desolate area here was truly odd. Who are you? As Luna White marveled at the strangeness of the place, a cold voice rang out. Luna White looked towards the source of the sound. She saw a man in white robes, wearing a white fox mask with the character, demon, written on the left side. Why are you here? Don't you know this is the forbidden area? As Luna White assessed the man, the cold voice sounded again. Hearing this, Luna White cleared her throat and politely said, well, I wandered here unintentionally. It's my first time in the palace, so I didn't know this was the forbidden area. First time in the palace? The masked man mused. After a moment, he removed his mask, revealing a handsome face. He had very fair skin, but unlike Vincent Knight's, it was a healthy kind of pale. His peach blossom eyes seemed slightly seductive, yet conveyed an aloofness that felt unreachable. His indifferent demeanor, cold voice, and the deep darkness hidden within his eyes. This person gave her a very bad feeling. Forgive me for disturbing your tranquility, young master. I'll take my leave. As a special agent, if it wasn't a mission, the first thing she thought of when encountering a troublesome character was to leave. Don't provoke difficult people, don't get entangled with overly shady individuals, that was her creed. However, her desire to leave didn't mean others would let her. Just as Luna White turned to leave, the man suddenly stood before her. A gentle breeze stirred, rustling his loosely tied black hair. Are you afraid of me, miss? The man looked at Luna White, phrasing it as a question, but his tone was utterly certain. In a strange place, encountering a strange man, who wouldn't be afraid? Seeing the man blocking her path, Luna White stopped, looking at him with a frustrated expression. Is that so? I don't think someone who dares to wander freely within the imperial palace would fear me. The man looked at Luna White, his tone cold, yet his demeanor remained rather gentle. Hearing this, Luna White blinked, retorting, by the same logic, I don't think someone appearing in the imperial palace's forbidden area is a good person. So, miss, are you interested in hearing me, this bad person, play a tune? The man looked at Luna White, inexplicably feeling a connection with her, wanting to keep her there. This was unprecedented, this desire to be close to someone like this desire for this person to stay. Perhaps, was it due to loneliness? This person is sick. That was Luna White's first reaction. One moment he was looking at her warily, the next he wanted to play for her. Young master, there doesn't seem to be an instrument here. Luna White looked around, feigning regret. It's all right. With that, the man walked towards the tall grass, fumbled around for a while, then pulled out a zither. The zither's body was purple, quite dazzling under the sunlight, likely made of amethyst. Someone who dared to leave such a valuable object in the weeds wasn't simple. Thinking this, but under the man's gaze, Luna White reluctantly sat down. However, as the man sat down with her and began to play, the reluctance in Luna White's heart vanished. It had to be said, this was truly a fine instrument. And this man was indeed a talented zither player. Melodious, clear sounds flowed slowly from his fingertips. The music reached her ears, as if someone was singing to her, and as if someone was whispering passionate words of love. As the melody shifted, the sound also transformed from its initial dreaminess, becoming intense as if in an argument. The music rose and fell, bringing a unique enjoyment. The piece, after its initial dreamy phase, was pure torment. Somehow, Luna White could hear the torment within it. But, this thought abruptly stopped when the man's playing ceased. The music ended, Luna White and the man locked eyes, and after a long moment, Luna White applauded. "Did you understand, miss?" The man looked at Luna White, his cold voice laced with a hint of expectation. "A very interesting piece. Did you compose it yourself, young master?" Luna White looked at the man and asked. Hearing this, the man shook his head. "No, a close friend played it for me. For certain reasons, I won't see her again. She wanted me to take her away, I refused, and then she played this piece for me. I could play it back after hearing it once, but I've never understood its meaning." The man's demeanor remained indifferent, even when speaking of his own affairs, as if it had nothing to do with him. But after hearing this, the corner of Luna White's mouth twitched. Could this person be any more obtuse? It was clear that the young lady had fallen for him, wanted to be with him, and as a result of his rejection, she resented him. "Do you enjoy the zither, young master?" Luna White asked. "Perhaps I do." The man's answer was vague. He didn't even know if he liked it or not. Luna White was completely at a loss for words. The piece just now, perhaps the young lady played it with a heavy heart, filled with emotion. Luna White explained, but saw that the man paid no attention. "So that's it. May I ask for your name, miss?" The man looked at Luna White, shifting to another question. Hearing this, Luna White replied, "My name is White." Before finishing, Luna White quickly closed her mouth. Was she joking? In less than a day, the news that Luna White of the White family was marrying Vincent Knight would spread throughout the capital. How could she tell this strange man before her who she was? White what? The man looked at Luna White, a spark of interest in his peach blossom eyes. "I'm just called White. No surname, because my parents are deceased, and I was brought into the imperial palace." Luna White fabricated an identity. Then, the man said, "I apologize, I didn't know Lady White had such a sad past. My name is Marcus Inc. It was a bit abrupt meeting you like this. This jade pendant is a gift for you, miss." Saying that, the man removed a jade pendant from his waist, made of translucent white jade. Seeing this jade pendant, Luna White's eyes lit up. She quickly said, "Thank you, young master." Luna White never refused valuable things. Accepting the jade pendant without hesitation, Luna White stood up and said, "Having heard your playing, young master, I'll take my leave. Farewell, miss." The man's cold voice rang out, politely standing up to see her out. And as Luna White walked away, the man chuckled softly. His smile was so radiant, even the tips of his eyebrows were tinged with gentleness. "How interesting. My lord, why did you run here?" Just as the man was exclaiming how interesting Luna White was, he saw a eunuch running in from outside. Upon seeing the man there, he hurried over. Why can't I be here?" The man was very relaxed. The coldness he had with Luna White disappeared, replaced by a carefree air. If Luna White were here, she would definitely be astonished. My lord, do you know? His Highness Vincent Knight finally has a princess consort. Today he entered the palace to pay his respects. Such an important matter, yet you ran away. If Her Majesty the Empress catches you, you'll definitely be punished again. The little eunuch wanted to cry but couldn't, looking at his master's unconcerned appearance, worried to the point of tears. Vincent Knight gets married year after year. This time he didn't die, but who can guarantee nothing else will happen? Compared to that, Little Black, go get me the records of today's palace maid entries, along with the daughters of officials' families. Remember, don't miss a single one. The man instructed seriously. Upon hearing this, the eunuch named Little Black really wanted to cry. My lord, what do you want this for? This is managed by General Lambert. You know General Lambert's temper. Just go get it. Say I want it. But. No buts. If you can't get it, I'll bury you alive here, to keep the deceased consort Grace company. Spare me, my lord. Spare me. I'll go get it immediately. Faced with the man's threat, Little Black had to agree tearfully. Good, that's how it should be. All right, tell me, what did you come to find me for? The man looked at Little Black, his expression relaxed. My lord, it's like this. Little Black looked around, then tiptoed and whispered in the man's ear, then saw the man's expression turn serious. That woman, she really knows how to cause trouble for me. Let's go, back. The man frowned, his expression like he'd swallowed a fly. Where was the immortal-like aura he had with Luna White? Compared to this side, when Luna White left the forbidden area, preparing to return to Everlasting Harmony Palace, Vincent Knight suddenly appeared and pulled her back. Let's go. Vincent Knight's attitude was very calm. After speaking, he took her wrist and walked towards the palace exit. Wait, Your Highness, wait. Are we just leaving like this? Shouldn't we bid farewell to the Empress? Luna White looked at Vincent Knight curiously and asked. Speaking of the Empress, Vincent Knight's face immediately turned ugly. No need, I don't want to see her. Does Your Highness not want to see the Empress, or does Your Highness not want to see the Crown Princess? Luna White smiled, looking at the somewhat anxious Vincent Knight. Hearing this, Vincent Knight froze, then killing intent surged in his eyes. What did the Empress tell you? The Empress didn't tell me anything, it's just, she asked me some questions. At first I was only guessing, but when I saw the Crown Princess, I was certain of my guess. Luna White's smile was harmless. What guess? Vincent Knight frowned. Hearing this, Luna White raised her head, looked at the man and said each word one by one. Your Highness and the Crown Princess were once lovers. As soon as the words finished, Luna White only felt a wave of murderous aura rushing towards her. Vincent Knight's eyes were cold, looking at Luna White, as if looking at a dead object. Do you know? One shouldn't be too smart. Vincent Knight's voice was cold, as if coming from hell. Is Your Highness blaming me for knowing too much? Luna White smiled, like the warm and bright March sun. Just this once, if I hear anything I shouldn't hear again, I'll kill you. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, and finally only threatened her with such a sentence. Your Highness, there are some things, it's not like you can cover your ears and steal a bell. The best way is not to avoid it, but to accept it. Looking at Vincent Knight, Luna White couldn't help but want to advise him. But as soon as the words finished, she saw Vincent Knight stop, looking at Luna White. His handsome face was somewhat distorted. Woman, I'll give you one more chance, shut up. What if I don't shut up? Will you kill me? If Your Highness doesn't want to hear about the Crown Princess, how about we make a deal? Luna White looked at Vincent Knight and asked with a smile. Another deal? Vincent Knight was a little curious about Luna White's deal. This woman always surprised him. I'll help Your Highness get the Crown Princess, and Your Highness will give me a divorce letter. Luna White looked at the man and said seriously. Following Luna White's voice, a strange silence fell between the two. Get her. Divorce you. Vincent Knight laughed. This woman was indeed very interesting. She didn't even want the position of princess consort. Your Highness loves the crown princess very much. Isn't this deal very beneficial? Luna White's smile was innocent. She didn't know that Vincent Knight had completely misunderstood her. I refuse. However, Vincent Knight first refused, then his words changed, looking at Luna White and saying, if you can kill her, I am willing to give you a divorce letter. What? Such great hatred. Luna White looked at Vincent Knight, suddenly a little confused. Did this person love the crown princess, or hate the crown princess? What? Can't you do it? Vincent Knight sneered. No, a word is a word. 3 months is the deadline. I will definitely present the results your Highness desires. Luna White said firmly. Without saying anything along the way, Luna White and Vincent Knight took a carriage back to the Knight mansion. Back at the mansion, Vincent Knight had some matters to attend to, so he let the steward take Luna White back to her courtyard. On the way, the steward followed Luna White, extremely excited. Princess consort. The steward called. What is it, steward? Luna White didn't understand. No, nothing. This old servant just wanted to ask Princess Consort, do you need to prepare your dowry now? The steward hurriedly replied, stammering a little due to his excitement. No need, I have no maternal family to return to. Luna White's tone was very light. One sentence broke the old steward's excitement. No maternal family to return to. The old steward was stunned. I have severed ties with my maternal family, I don't need a dowry. After Luna White finished speaking, she entered her courtyard. The small courtyard was called Falling Snow. It was the small courtyard near Vincent Knight's study. Entering the courtyard, Luna White hurriedly ran into her room. Outside, the steward saw this and thought that the princess consort was tired and wanted to rest, so he didn't dare to disturb her and had to retreat. Back in her room, Luna White quickly lifted the curtain and looked under the bed, but the scene she saw made her face change. The person inside had disappeared. What are you looking for? Just as Luna White was wondering where the person had gone, she heard a hoarse voice coming from behind. Because it was a little weak, it carried a tremor. Hearing the sound, Luna White abruptly turned her head, and it was indeed the person she had saved yesterday. Calmly turning around, she looked at the man. It seems you've recovered well. Yesterday you were on the verge of death, today you can walk. Luna White said, assessing the man in front of her. This man, estimated to be about 1.85 meters tall, was still wearing the same clothes as yesterday, which were tattered beyond repair. Because of his injuries, the man's face was pale, but his facial features were extremely perfect. A sharp but not small chin, eyes as sharp as a hawk, a high and straight nose, plus slightly chapped lips, the overall impression gave people a feeling of extreme danger. Thank you, miss, for saving my life. Thanks to your help last night, I was able to wake up. As for the wound, I had some golden sore medicine given by a friend, so I was able to walk. Seeing Luna White assessing him, the man explained and thanked her. No need for thanks, you being able to walk saves me some trouble, but I don't think you've forgotten the deal we made last night, have you? Luna White looked at the man, her expression serious, no longer the innocent and harmless look from before. Of course. From now on, my life is yours. After the man finished speaking, he knelt on one knee. Because the movement was a bit strong, the wound started bleeding again, but he didn't even frown. Seeing this, Luna White nodded with satisfaction, then said, My name is Luna White, I am your master, you just need to remember this. Yes, master. The man said respectfully. Do you have a name? Luna White was curious. I only have a title, Linus. The man was still respectful. Then from today onwards, you will take my surname. Surname White, given name Linus. Linus White, thanks master. The man was still as respectful, as if he was used to these things. Looking at Linus White, Luna White's tone was very light, with a hint of deeper meaning. You must forget the past, no matter who you were in the past, from now on, you are only my servant. I want you to live, you live. I want you to die, you die. Yes, master. Linus White lowered his head and replied. First, find a place to rest. Your injuries likely won't heal quickly. Buy a house in the capital and tell me the address. I'll come treat you daily. Luna White looked at Linus White, speaking calmly. Master, you needn't concern yourself with me. My injuries are nothing. What about the poison in your body? If left untreated, you'll die. Luna White countered. Aren't you afraid I'll betray you after I'm healed? Linus White was a little surprised, not expecting such trust from Luna White, who clearly didn't even know who he was. I'm your master. If I couldn't even offer this much trust, I wouldn't have saved you last night. Go now, and find a way to inform me of your whereabouts. Luna White's resolute attitude left Linus White with no choice but to respectfully nod, then vanish before her eyes. With Linus White gone, the weight on Luna White's heart finally lifted. His presence had kept her on edge all day, fearing discovery of the man hidden under the bed. If he died undiscovered, she'd have the trouble of disposing of the body. If he lived, woke up regretful, and decided to leave, her efforts last night would be wasted. But now, there was nothing to worry about. This man kept his word. Feeling lighter, Luna White stretched out on the bed, idly holding the stack of banknotes taken from Chancellor White. Should she use them to open a shop, or invest? Opening a shop would require a lot of effort, something she currently lacked. Investing meant finding a suitable business with prospects, which seemed even harder. These thoughts made her head spin. Your Highness, came Ivy Jade's respectful voice from outside, tinged with a hint of anxiety, just as Luna White was feeling troubled. What is it? Luna White opened the door and asked, puzzled. Seeing Luna White, Ivy Jade quickly said, Miss, my aunt is ill. I want to go home and care for her for a couple of days. No need to ask me. Just go. Luna White replied, then, feeling a bit uneasy, she took out some loose silver and offered it. Take this. Your aunt needs medicine, right? You followed me, so I know how hard your life has been. You probably haven't saved much. This. Miss, I can't accept this. I'm Vincent Knight's wife now. I have everything I need. Take it. Luna White smiled gently. Hearing this, Ivy Jade looked at Luna White with gratitude and hurried away. After Ivy Jade left, Luna White closed the door and returned to her room. Unbeknownst to her, a figure in the east corner of the courtyard quietly slipped away as she did. In the study, Vincent Knight sat at his desk, reviewing an unsigned letter. He frowned, his handsome phoenix eyes cold. What is it? Has the Crown Prince or the White family made a move? That's why I said, you can't marry a white daughter. Trouble on the very first day. Sitting beside him, dressed in white today, Adam saw Vincent Knight's frown and taunted gleefully. Vincent Knight looked up at him, taking a moment before speaking. The Emperor has decreed that Chancellor White's second daughter will become the Crown Prince's concubine. The wedding is in half a month. Pfft. As soon as Vincent Knight finished, Adam spat out his tea. His usually charming face crumpled in disbelief. The Whites and the Crown Prince? Then, what about your wife? Today at the Imperial Palace, she said she'd severed ties with the Whites before marrying into our family. Vincent Knight paused, admitting he didn't fully understand the White family's situation. Severed ties? Chancellor White is truly ruthless, marrying off his legitimate eldest daughter to the Knight household, a place where brides don't survive past the second night, and even severing their father-daughter relationship. Pity our princess. Adam's tone dripped with mockery. Vincent Knight wasn't angered, simply saying, we were careless. We thought we were proposing to the Chancellor's daughter, expecting to marry Stella White, the second miss, but we ended up with Luna White. But you seem quite pleased with this outcome. Adam refilled his teacup. Indeed. Though unintended, this woman is far more worthy of marrying me than Stella White. Besides, I made an interesting deal with her. Vincent Knight recalled the deal at the Imperial Palace Gate, a smile playing on his lips. Then, should we thoroughly investigate her past with the Whites? Adam looked at Vincent Knight, a flicker of worry in his eyes. The last time he saw this expression on the prince's face was before the crown princess's marriage. Back then, the prince met the current crown princess at a temple fair. They hit it off immediately, their relationship developing to the point of almost setting a wedding date, only for her to suddenly marry the crown prince. She even did that, nearly killing the prince. This time, it was the chancellor's daughter. Could she truly be trusted? As a precaution, investigate thoroughly. Vincent Knight was even more concerned than Adam. No one understood the despair of betrayal better than him, nor the pain of being deceived by a loved one. He didn't want a repeat of the past. Your Highness, a knock came from the door, followed by the steward's respectful voice. Vincent Knight replied, I'm speaking with Duke Lambert's eldest son. Tell me what it is, steward. Your Highness, Chancellor White and Lady White are here, requesting to see the princess. I didn't dare make a decision on my own, so I came to seek your instructions. The steward's voice came again, making Adam laugh. Oh. Speak of the devil. I'm curious what a father and daughter who have severed ties have to discuss. Restrain your love for drama. Vincent Knight shot him a look. Your Highness, surely you're curious too? Adam asked with a smile. Vincent Knight remained silent. Indeed, he was very interested to see how Luna White would handle Chancellor White. Invite the princess. Tell her I have matters to attend to and will join her later. Vincent Knight's voice was soft. The steward, having received his orders, headed towards Luna White's courtyard. When the housekeeper knocked on Luna White's door, she was still pondering over her silver expenditures. Your Highness. The housekeeper's voice, though soft, interrupted Luna White's train of thought. Sitting up, Luna White called out, What is it? Your Highness, Chancellor White has come to visit. His Majesty says he will arrive shortly and invites you to the front hall. Upon hearing this, Luna White's expression shifted. She held no fond memories of the White family. The original owner's life within the White household could be described as hellish. Even in the end, they offered her no warmth. While severing ties with the White family, she hadn't expected them to truly cease all contact. Yet, unexpectedly, Chancellor White had come knocking. Suppressing her discontent, Luna White told the housekeeper, I understand. I'll be there shortly. With that, she adjusted her attire, opened the door, and headed towards the main hall. In the Knight Mansion's great hall, yesterday's wedding characters remained, the red candles burned down to bizarre shapes. Chancellor White and Lady White sat on the guest chairs to the left, their tea untouched, their faces stern as they awaited Luna White. This was the scene that greeted Luna White as she entered. Looking at the two before her, the corners of her lips curled slightly as she spoke, Chancellor White, Lady White. Hearing her voice, they turned to look. Upon seeing Luna White, Chancellor White felt a jolt. He had long known this child resembled her mother, but he hadn't expected such a striking resemblance. It was uncanny. With this thought, he looked at her again, a complex emotion flickering in his eyes. I hear the White family is a noble house with strict upbringing. Why then, upon meeting this princess, have you forgotten even the most basic etiquette? Luna White addressed them coldly. Chancellor White and Lady White exchanged embarrassed glances before kneeling. Your Royal Highness, live for 10,000 years, 10,000 years, 10,000 years. Seeing them kneel, a knowing smile played on Luna White's lips. They likely never dreamed they'd kneel before her. Despite this inner thought, her face remained impassive as she asked, "What brings the Chancellor here?" "Luna, we are family. Must we be so formal?" Seeing Luna White's continued coldness and refusal to allow them to rise, Chancellor White frowned. "Family? This princess has no family," Luna White replied, her gaze icy. "You married from the White House. No matter what you say, you are still a daughter of the White family," Chancellor White retorted. "So? What is the Chancellor's purpose here?" Luna White steered the conversation back. Chancellor White, exasperated, found himself momentarily speechless. Just then, Lady White, who had been silent, rose and took Luna White's hand, her voice filled with warmth. "Luna, how can you speak to your father like that? We are family. Now, your younger sister is about to marry His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and you are the Ghost King's princess. Both of you are good daughters of the White family. If you have any troubles, just tell your mother." Lady White's voice was gentle. Luna White, observing her for a long moment, scoffed inwardly. Just as Lady White thought she had moved Luna White, she continued, "I have only one mother, who now rests in peace. Madam, please don't presume kinship." Luna White's words were laced with meaning. Lady White, hearing this, glanced awkwardly at Chancellor White. "All right, the Chancellor still hasn't stated his purpose here." Luna White's "I'm very busy, please don't bother me" air further irritated Chancellor White. Seeing her unmoved, he abandoned further pleasantries. Rising, he retrieved an invitation from his wide sleeve. "My youngest daughter is about to be wed. I am preparing a banquet at home and respectfully invite His Majesty, Your Royal Highness, to grace us with your presence." The words, "Your Royal Highness," were practically ground out between Chancellor White's teeth. "My lord!" Lady White exclaimed, surprised by his concession. "Let's go." Ignoring her surprise, Chancellor White stormed out. Lady White hurried after him, shooting a venomous glare at Luna White before departing. "You ungrateful wretch." After their departure, a clap echoed through the hall. Interesting, truly interesting. Who's there?" Luna White spun around, finding a man in white brocade. He possessed a devilishly handsome appearance and remarkably sharp eyes. He leaned against the doorway, appraising her with amusement. "I am Adam Lambert, a retainer of His Majesty. This is my first time meeting your Highness, and I am captivated by your unique aura. I apologize for my presumptuous appearance." His demeanor was respectful, bowing as he finished speaking. "Adam Lambert? Of the Lambert family?" The Lambert family had a long history of military service, but she hadn't known they also had such refined members. But, a Lambert serving as Vincent Knight's retainer? It seemed Vincent Knight also harbored imperial ambitions. Despite these thoughts, Luna White's face remained expressionless as she nodded. "I see. This princess has matters to attend to and will return to the rear courtyard." With that, she walked towards the door, passing Adam Lambert without further interaction. As she left, a complex look entered Adam Lambert's eyes. This princess was far more intriguing than he had imagined. He hoped she would remain content in her current position. Following the same path, Luna White returned to her room, contemplating the invitation in her hand. There were many influential officials in the capital, yet the White family had deliberately chosen the crown prince, seemingly intending to use her as a pawn. Had they come today to curry favor with her? Humph. Should she call them shameless or naive? Did they truly believe her a fool? Even if Vincent Knight were overthrown, the White family wouldn't offer her any benefit. She, on the other hand, would lose her protection and, worse, might perish alongside Vincent Knight. How could she engage in such a losing proposition? If you continue walking like that, you'll hit a wall. Just as Luna White was lost in thought, a cool voice startled her. Looking up, she saw Vincent Knight standing before her to the left, arms crossed, amusement dancing in his eyes. Stopping, Luna White curtsied, "Greetings, Your Majesty." Long live your majesty, 10,000 years, 10,000 years, 10,000 years. You may dispense with such formalities in the future. Vincent Knight approached her, looking down with a hint of a smile. He'd witnessed the whole thing. Honestly, he was both astonished and relieved by the outcome. Astonished that Luna White had truly turned against the whites, and relieved because he now had another reason to trust her. Your Highness, is there something on my face? Feeling Vincent Knight's gaze, Luna White asked, a little flustered. Vincent Knight shook his head, a rare tenderness flickering in his beautiful phoenix eyes. Wang Fei, you can just call me by my name from now on. I don't know your Highness's name, Luna White blinked, speaking frankly. Vincent Knight paused for a moment. Vincent Knight. My name is Vincent Knight. Vincent. Your Highness, Luna White chuckled softly. Drop it, Your Highness, Vincent Knight frowned. Luna White stared blankly, thought for a moment, then softly called out, Vincent. Hearing the desired address, the corner of Vincent Knight's lips curled upwards. Looking at Luna White, he said, from today onwards, I've decided to trust you. His voice was soft, but to Luna White, it sounded like thunder. Trust? Had she done anything to earn Vincent Knight's trust? Luna White was filled with doubt. But then, she burst out laughing, looking at Vincent Knight, and said each word deliberately, if that's the case, I will also trust your Highness. Silence fell between them. Just then, an arrow whistled through the air, hurtling towards Luna White. Careful! The arrow zipped towards her. Luna White only heard Vincent Knight shout a warning before she was shoved aside. When she turned back, she saw Vincent Knight had been hit in the shoulder. Luna White froze. She wasn't a stranger to assassination attempts. Her line of work was inherently dangerous, and of course, she sometimes had protection for the sake of the organization's missions. She'd even stepped over the bodies of fallen comrades to survive. But this man before her had nothing to do with her mission. Why would he risk his life for her? While Luna White was still stunned, Vincent Knight glanced at his shoulder wound, chuckled, and yanked out the arrow. Turning to Luna White, he teased, "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? This isn't like the Luna White I know." "The Luna White you know?" Luna White was bewildered, then couldn't help but laugh. "And what's she like?" Vincent Knight didn't answer, a cryptic smile playing on his lips. The pain in his shoulder made it a bit strained. "Come to my room. I'll bandage it for you," Luna White said, worried, looking at him. "No need. I'll have someone summon the physician." Vincent Knight's tone was indifferent. He turned to leave. Luna White frowned, then ran after him, grabbing his arm. "Let me do it, Your Highness. I'm quite good at bandaging." Without waiting for his consent, she pulled him towards her room. Vincent Knight quietly followed, though he could easily have pushed her away. He didn't want to. It had been a long time since anyone had been so unafraid of him, so close. Thinking of Aurora Dove, who had once been so intimate with him, only to betray him so callously, Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, an unreadable emotion stirring in his beautiful phoenix eyes. Once inside, Luna White ordered him to sit on the bed and stay put. She rummaged through her cupboards, finding bandages and medicinal herbs. Then, looking at Vincent Knight, she said, "Take it off." "Huh?" Vincent Knight, who had been amused by her bustling about, was caught off guard. "Take off your clothes. How can I apply medicine otherwise?" Luna White sighed. If she could, she really wouldn't want to treat him. But after all, Vincent Knight had been injured protecting her. "Do I really have to?" Vincent Knight frowned, looking at Luna White, a little embarrassed. "Yes," Luna White said seriously. Seeing she was serious, Vincent Knight silently removed his clothes, revealing his shoulder. His skin was as smooth as his face, only more toned. Now, his normally pale shoulder was stained purplish-black with poison. The venomous blood flowed down his arm, clearly visible now that his clothes were off. Luna White looked at his shoulder, muttering a curse about what a waste, and began to clean the wound. The arrow is poisoned. I can bandage it, but I can't detoxify it. You'll have to find someone else for that, Luna White said as she applied the medicine. Vincent Knight didn't reply, just watched her silently. Luna White was serious when she worked, her eyes bright with focus, a stern expression on her beautiful face, completely different from the harmless demeanor she'd shown him earlier. Yet, Vincent Knight found himself inexplicably drawn to this side of her. Even if you hadn't helped, I could have found a physician to treat the wound, Vincent Knight said, looking at Luna White, for some reason feeling the need to say it. Luna White looked up, disbelief clear in her eyes. If I hadn't helped, you wouldn't have sought any treatment at all, would you? Her tone was certain. Vincent Knight was taken aback. She was right. He'd been targeted for assassination today. Such things were commonplace for him, nothing to make a fuss about. I apologize for alarming you, Vincent Knight said, looking at Luna White with a hint of guilt. Luna White blinked her beautiful phoenix eyes and chuckled lightly. No need to apologize, Your Highness. The arrow was aimed at me, meant to take my life. If anyone should apologize, it's the archer. The person who truly wants you dead won't apologize, Vincent Knight said wryly. That's because they haven't been dealt with properly. Let me handle them, and they'll be begging for forgiveness. Luna White's words were laced with meaning. She continued bandaging his wound. Vincent Knight continued to watch her, his interest piqued. Seeing her bandage the wound so skillfully, he wouldn't have guessed she was a sheltered young lady. And judging by her words and actions, it was hard to believe she was the one being oppressed at home. There. All done. You may leave now, Your Highness. Just as Vincent Knight was lost in thought, Luna White stood up, her manner suggesting she'd completed her task and he could now get lost. Vincent Knight's lips twitched. She's my princess, this is my estate, can't I stay here? Vincent Knight frowned. Although he originally wanted to leave, after Luna White said that, he couldn't bring himself to go. It felt like being kicked out by his own wife, truly unacceptable. Your Highness isn't leaving? Luna White asked, surprised. After a moment, she changed her tune, then I'll leave. With that, Luna White walked out. Hold on. Does she not want to be in the same place as me? If he was just slightly annoyed before, then now, Vincent Knight was truly angered. His eyes turned cold, his charming face now tinged with fury. Gripped tightly by him, Luna White couldn't leave, so she turned around. Looking at Vincent Knight like this, she sighed and said meaningfully, Does Your Highness really not want me to leave? If so, won't your guest be angry? As soon as Luna White finished speaking, Vincent Knight's expression changed. He looked at Luna White with a hint of wariness. Indeed, after he was injured by the arrow, his shadow guard appeared, but because they hadn't received any orders, they didn't dare reveal themselves. However, the shadow guards under his command were all rigorously trained. How could they be discovered? Your Highness needn't look at me like that, as long as it's a person, they'll have a breath, no matter how well they hide it, they'll still be discovered. Moreover, Your Highness's subordinates are very loyal. Seeing Your Highness injured, they revealed their presence, their emotions on the road were also quite unstable. Luna White chuckled, unconcerned by Vincent Knight's shock. Although she didn't know ancient martial arts, when it came to concealing her own presence, she was a master. Compared to Luna White's calmness, Vincent Knight was even more shocked. She could detect his shadow guards, in other words, she knew martial arts. Before, on their wedding night, when she said she wanted to kill him, she wasn't lying. Thinking of these things, Vincent Knight couldn't help but laugh loudly, ha ha, ha ha ha. Are you mad? Luna White frowned. No, just a little happy, my princess, your skills are quite impressive. In that case, I won't need to protect you anymore. Vincent Knight said, leaning down to whisper in her ear, "You should be able to protect yourself, right?" Luna White didn't know why Vincent Knight suddenly said this, but she still nodded, "Yes, in our agreement, there's no mention of you protecting me." As soon as Luna White finished speaking, the smile on Vincent Knight's face deepened. After he finished laughing, he let go of her hand and sauntered off. After Vincent Knight left, Luna White hurried to the dressing table, looking at herself in the bronze mirror, checking left and right but couldn't see any flowers on her face. So, what was that lunatic laughing about? Luna White didn't understand. But she didn't think too much about it, she had more important things to do. Luna White straightened her slightly wrinkled clothes and pushed the door open, leaving the room. At the same time, Vincent Knight left Luna White's place and returned to his study. Which shadow guard was on duty today? Vincent Knight's voice wasn't loud, even somewhat gentle. However, the person in the shadows knew very well that this gentleness was dangerous. The shadow guard thought for a moment, then obediently came out, kneeling on the ground and respectfully saying, "Reporting to your highness, this subordinate is Black Cat." "Is your master Shadow?" Vincent Knight glanced at the kneeling shadow guard and casually asked. "Yes," the shadow guard replied respectfully. "Oh. You can go back, no need to return, call Shadow here. I have something to ask him." Vincent Knight's tone was cold, clearly wanting to reprimand him. While Knight residence wasn't a forbidden area like the Imperial Palace, it wasn't a place ordinary people could enter. And even if there were assassins, it wouldn't be to the point where the master was injured and the palace guards hadn't even appeared. So when Luna White was attacked, the shadow guards were present, but they didn't think to protect Luna White. Because for the Knight residence shadow guards, Luna White wasn't their master. This was precisely why Vincent Knight was angry. "Master." Very quickly, Shadow was summoned. Shadow, dressed in black, wearing an iron mask, had a completely different aura from the previous shadow guard. "About today's incident, shouldn't you give me an explanation?" Vincent Knight coldly looked at his shadow guard. Among his subordinates, there were a total of 4 chief shadow guards, and the most loyal one was Shadow before him. He truly didn't expect Shadow to let Luna White get hurt. Summoned by his master, Shadow wasn't afraid. His dark eyes were calm. "Master, this subordinate only follows your orders, you didn't tell this subordinate to protect the princess. Is that so? Then from today onwards, I want you to treat her as you treat your master. If you disobey, I will kill you." Vincent Knight's voice was gentle, as if he was talking about ordinary matters. But after Shadow heard these words, his body trembled. He had followed Vincent Knight for many years and clearly understood the meaning of these words. He also knew very well that he was serious. Although he felt uneasy, he still bowed. "This subordinate obeys." Perhaps, Duke Lambert's worries would soon become reality. "You may leave." After warning his subordinate, Vincent Knight waved his hand, signaling him to retreat. Upon hearing this, Shadow respectfully left. On the other side, Luna White left her room and went outside. Perhaps Vincent Knight had instructed the servants, as the palace guards at the gate didn't stop Luna White when she left the residence. This Luna White originally had no memories of the capital streets, because she hadn't had the opportunity to leave the White Estate. But, because she was always injured and always lacked medicinal herbs, she was very familiar with a certain mountain valley. She had once been there with her little maid. In her memory, she seemed to have encountered a type of grass, at the time she didn't know what it was. So she didn't touch it. But in reality, Luna White, in modern times, had seen that herb. It was in a medical book. That herb was called heartbreak herb. Heartbreak herb was poisonous, but its roots were a treasure for detoxification. Thinking of this, Luna White headed towards that mountain valley. The valley was some distance from Knight residence, and it took Luna White an hour to get there. There was a stream in the valley, and flowers and grass grew all around it. This wasn't a secret place, yet no one came to pick the herbs here. This made Luna White a little suspicious. Thinking so, Luna White followed the direction of the heartbreak herb in her memory. There were quite a few thorns in the valley, making it a bit difficult to get through the thorns to find the heartbreak herb. Luna White took out a dagger, cutting through the thorns as she continued to search. Finally, she found the heartbreak herb in a thorn bush. Cutting away some of the thorns, Luna White squeezed in, took the herb, and then backed out. However, halfway out, Luna White's expression changed, her eyes sharpening as she looked behind her. Outside the thorny thicket, a man in crimson robes stood. His features were refined, his face oval-shaped, and beneath delicate brows lay narrow, elongated phoenix eyes, carrying a languid air. His gaze was calm as still water, and a cinnabar mole beneath his right eye added to his captivating allure. At this moment, arms crossed, he watched Luna White as if she were already dead. "Who are you?" Luna White crouched within the brambles, warily eyeing the man who had appeared so suddenly. His arrival was unexpected. Could he be the spirit guarding the heartbreak herb? Luna White scoffed at her own thought, the idea was absurd. How could spirits exist in this world? The man exuded no hostility, merely observing her silently. Luna White and the man stared at each other for a long while. Just as her patience began to wear thin, the figure outside the thicket finally stirred. He gestured, his expression impassive, pointing at the heartbreak herb in Luna White's hand, and then spoke, "I want it." The man's voice was melodious, like the gentle murmur of water flowing over stones. Luna White, taken aback, looked at him, then back at the heartbreak herb in her grasp, and asked uncertainly, "You're saying you want this heartbreak herb I have?" The man nodded, his gaze fixed on her. "If you want it, pick it yourself." Luna White frowned, irritated by the man's abruptness. Appearing behind her without warning was one thing, but wanting her heartbreak herb was another. Where did this strange fellow come from? Dirty. Just as Luna White inwardly complained, the man's voice rang out again, this time even more concise than before. Luna White was utterly bewildered, completely failing to grasp his meaning. But she remained silent, the man's gaze unwavering. She dared not emerge from the thorny bushes, fearing a sudden attack. The heartbreak herb grew within the brambles, making it difficult to find. She didn't know if this man possessed martial arts, but his ability to appear silently behind her suggested considerable skill. If he were to seize the heartbreak herb, wouldn't she have to search for it all over again? It was already late afternoon, what if wild beasts appeared in the valley? The more Luna White thought about it, the more determined she became not to give the heartbreak herb to this strange man. Luna White lifted her head to meet his gaze and said, "I can't give you the heartbreak herb, and I don't quite understand what you're saying. Could you move aside? You're blocking my way." Luna White's tone was resolute. Upon hearing this, a flicker of light appeared in the man's narrow phoenix eyes. He observed her for a moment longer, a strange glint in his eyes. When he spoke again, his words were slightly more elaborate, "This place is too filthy, I don't want to enter. But I need the heartbreak herb." This time, the man's explanation was clearer, but it was as good as no explanation at all. Luna White's lips twitched as she looked at the man. So, he was a germaphobe? "I also need this heartbreak herb. I'm in a hurry, so I can't give it to you. I'm sorry." Luna White softened her voice, hoping to leave safely without a confrontation. The man seemed disappointed that Luna White wouldn't give him the heartbreak herb. Then, he slowly drew a silver pouch from his chest and, looking at Luna White, said, "Bye." He had struck the right chord. Although this man didn't know Luna White, he had chosen the correct approach. Luna White, who had been contemplating a forceful exit, immediately abandoned the idea upon seeing the silver. She crawled out of the thorny bushes, stood up, and walked towards the man, saying with a smile, "Give me the silver first." The man was startled by Luna White's sudden change, momentarily unable to react. But the silver pouch was already snatched from his hand. Seeing her seize it, a flicker of displeasure crossed his eyes. But immediately after, he felt something placed in his hand. Looking closely, he realized it was the heartbreak herb. 2 stalks. The silver you gave is probably around 100 taels. I can only give you 2 stalks of heartbreak herb. I need the rest. Luna White's voice was calm. After speaking, she stepped on the thorny bushes and departed. The man stood there, stunned, looking at the crushed brambles, then at the heartbreak herb in his hand. Without a word, he turned and walked in the opposite direction from Luna White. 100 taels of silver wasn't much for the wealthy, but for commoners, it was enough to live on for half a lifetime. As a precaution, Luna White stashed the silver away, then looked at the 3 remaining stalks of heartbreak herb in her hand, thinking it should be enough. Returning to the royal mansion, Luna White wasted no time in heading to her room. She found a jar and crushed the heartbreak herb, then went to the mansion's medicinal storehouse to find some common herbs. As the royal consort, Luna White had free access to all but the most restricted ingredients. Moreover, the storehouse was managed by the old steward, so she faced no obstacles. Having gathered the necessary herbs, Luna White added them to the jar in the correct order and sealed it. It would be ready to use in 3 days. This wasn't the first time she had prepared this medicine, so she was quick, but she hadn't expected the heartbreak herb to be so difficult to find, which had taken some time. 3 stalks of heartbreak herb would probably only last about 5 days. It was far from enough to completely eliminate the toxins in Linus White's body. With this thought, Luna White placed the jar on the windowsill. Then, she went to rest. Meanwhile, Vincent Knight also received a report from his shadow guard. Since the previous shadow guard had been discovered by Luna White, the new one had become more cunning. This time, the most skilled tracker in the mansion was assigned to follow Luna White. You say the royal consort went to the Valley of 100 Herbs. In his study, Vincent Knight asked his shadow guard incredulously. Yes, Your Highness. This subordinate saw clearly, it was the Valley of 100 Herbs. The shadow guard replied respectfully. How did she know about that place? Was anyone with her? Vincent Knight frowned. No, but, the royal consort met a strange man there. This subordinate doesn't know who he is. Only that he wore red and had a cinnabar mole at the corner of his eye. This subordinate wonders if. Before the shadow guard could finish, Vincent Knight abruptly stood up, his face grim. From today onwards, you are to closely protect the royal consort. If that man appears again, report immediately. Vincent Knight's tone was grave. The shadow guard, hearing this, dared not delay and quickly obeyed. The shadow guard swiftly withdrew. But Vincent Knight's expression remained dark. It was now dusk. Vincent Knight walked to the window, gazing at the setting sun, his eyes cold, and muttered with a hint of perplexity, it seems I've underestimated the royal consort. She even managed to enter a place like the Valley of 100 Herbs. Moreover, she encountered that man and emerged unscathed. Humph. Interesting. A flicker of excitement entered Vincent Knight's voice. But it was fleeting, and his expression quickly returned to its usual coldness. His features, though captivating, were now tinged with an icy demeanor. Scarlet Bloom, from today onwards, you are the royal consort's personal attendant. Go find her and tell her that this is my only request of her. As Vincent Knight finished speaking, a woman in black attire, perched on the rafters, nodded respectfully before leaping away. Time flew by, 3 days passed in a blink. During these 3 days, apart from Vincent Knight suddenly sending a close-by maid, there were basically no disturbances. As for the previous assassination attempt, just as she predicted, it was hushed up by Vincent Knight. Vincent Knight didn't want this matter to spread, he didn't even call for a physician. As for how the poison was resolved, Luna White wasn't clear. Your Highness, Scarlet Bloom's icy voice echoed from outside the door, respectful yet distant. Regarding this maid, Luna White didn't really want her, but since it was Vincent Knight's request, she could only accept. She took the initiative to make a deal with Vincent Knight so that she could be free later. And Vincent Knight did give her freedom, at least he allowed her to go out. In ancient times, even a princess couldn't casually go out. In this situation, Vincent Knight truly gave her face. Inside the room, Luna White was sound asleep. Seeing that she didn't open the door, Scarlet Bloom frowned and continued, "Your Highness, today is the engagement ceremony of the second Miss of the White Residence with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. We should go to the Whites. His Lordship is waiting outside." Scarlet Bloom's tone remained indifferent, neither arrogant nor flattering. Inside the room, upon hearing the two words, "Whites," Luna White jolted awake. Looking dazedly at her hands, Luna White finally came to her senses. Today was the engagement ceremony of her legendary sister, Stella White, and the Crown Prince. Although she didn't want to have any connection with the Whites anymore, since Vincent Knight was prepared to go, she had no reason to refuse. Thinking so, Luna White opened the door for Scarlet Bloom. Opening the door, she saw Scarlet Bloom standing there, in a lotus green dress, her face cold but incredibly refined, making it hard to look away. Scarlet Bloom was very beautiful, a type of exquisite beauty rarely seen in modern times. If modern women used makeup to adorn themselves, Scarlet Bloom was the type who didn't need makeup to be breathtakingly beautiful. Looking at Scarlet Bloom, Luna White smiled, "Is his lordship ready?" Hearing this, Scarlet Bloom respectfully nodded, then handed a tray to Luna White. "Please allow this servant to dress you, Your Highness." Luna White obediently nodded. Normally, for a princess, at least 2 maids would be needed to dress her, but Luna White didn't like having many people around her, and Vincent Knight didn't intend to prepare many maids for her. For Vincent Knight, the fewer people around Luna White, the safer she would be. He couldn't be sure that everyone in the royal mansion was trustworthy. Today, Scarlet Bloom prepared a long orange dress for Luna White, the chest embroidered with beautiful white plum blossoms, the skirt as well. Over the dress was a thin orange gauze robe. Overall, it looked noble without losing its vibrancy. Luna White was originally a classic beauty, very beautiful even without makeup. Scarlet Bloom only applied a little red lipstick to her lips, then styled her hair into a Lu Yun Ji. On the bun, she pinned a butterfly hairpin made of white jade. She looked truly splendid. "Your Highness, please follow me to the main hall," Scarlet Bloom bowed and invited. Luna White nodded slightly upon hearing this. On the way, Scarlet Bloom led the way, Luna White followed behind, neither of them spoke. Arriving at the main hall, as soon as Luna White stepped through the door, she saw the man in purple floral attire, sword-like eyebrows, phoenix eyes, thin lips slightly upturned but without a smile. Looking at him, he was captivatingly beautiful, yet lacked warmth. Looking at Vincent Knight, Luna White felt a little fear from the bottom of her heart. This man was very dangerous. "Your Highness's makeup today is truly exquisite," this king is captivated. While Luna White was wary of Vincent Knight, he had already walked over, gently lifting a strand of hair that fell on her shoulder, his eyes flashing. "Your lordship, we should go." Luna White pulled her hair back, taking a step back to a safe distance before speaking. Seeing Luna White like this, Vincent Knight wasn't angry, he took her hand and walked out of the main hall. Then, under the astonished gazes of the maids, he led her to the palanquin. After the two left, the Knight mansion seemed to explode. "Did I see wrong? Our lord can't be so gentle. Her Highness is so beautiful. Order! Everyone get back to work." After Luna White and Vincent Knight left, all sorts of sounds rang out, finally silenced by the old steward's words. On this side, after Luna White and Vincent Knight boarded the palanquin, Luna White frowned. "Can your lordship tell me why we must go to the Whites?" Luna White's question made Vincent Knight chuckle. "Why? Don't be naive enough to think that just because you actively severed ties with the Whites, they won't come looking for you again, will they?" Hearing this, Luna White frowned even more. She truly didn't want any entanglement with the whites. If not unavoidable, she absolutely wouldn't participate in the banquet of the Crown Prince and the whites today. Seeing Luna White's reluctance, Vincent Knight had to say, the second miss of the whites will soon be the Crown Prince's secondary consort. Even if you don't care about the whites, you should give face to the Crown Prince, otherwise both this king and the princess will be gossiped about. Does marrying a secondary consort require a banquet to invite officials? Luna White was a little puzzled. No, but, he's marrying the daughter of Chancellor White, Vincent Knight said with a smile. Hearing this, Luna White fell silent. At the same time, she understood one thing: people are always biased. Chancellor White could be said to have cherished Stella White like a jewel, but when it came to her, she was just a replacement to be married into the tiger's den. Even that hypocritical father hoped that she, for Stella White and her future husband, could betray Vincent Knight. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. As long as you trust this king will also trust you. Noticing Luna White's current mood, Vincent Knight couldn't help but comfort her. He was always quite kind to those around him. As for Luna White, what he wanted most was trust. The first time he met Luna White, Vincent Knight had a strange interest, a feeling of excitement he had never experienced before. Vincent Knight's comfort surprised Luna White. Looking at the captivating face of the man, Luna White, with a very complicated mood, said, "Your lordship, don't tell me you think I'm worried that the whites will be bullied." How could that be? When Vincent Knight said this, there was a moment of hesitation. He had sent people to investigate how Luna White lived in the whites before. How could he not be worried? Rest assured, Your Highness, I am not the Luna White you once knew. In this world, those who could bully me are all residing in hell. And those who wish to bully me are not far from it. Luna White spoke, a sharp glint flashing in her phoenix eyes. I hope so. I wouldn't want you to be harmed by others before you even taste freedom. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, a smile playing in his eyes. When one perceives someone as good, whatever they say or do seems inherently right. Vincent Knight felt this way about Luna White, everything she did felt justified. Looking at Luna White, he felt in his heart that everything she did was righteous. And her words resonated deeply with him. Anything I should be mindful of when we arrive at the White residence? I am, after all, the new son-in-law, and it wouldn't do to commit a faux pas during the homecoming of my princess consort. Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, a teasing lilt in his voice. Luna White glanced at him. There's nothing to be mindful of. You are not the White family's son-in-law, and I am no longer their daughter. When I was given to you in marriage, I severed all ties with the White residence. Luna White reaffirmed her stance. Vincent Knight, hearing this, didn't reply. They continued on their way in silence. But both understood clearly that the White residence would be anything but welcoming today. Chancellor White had deliberately extended the invitation, and Luna White had previously humiliated them. How could they possibly let that go? Your Highness, your royal consort, we have arrived at the White residence, the palanquin bearer's voice announced from outside. Upon hearing this, Vincent Knight rose and stepped out of the palanquin. Under the sunlight, the man, clad in purple robes, his features striking and a playful smile in his eyes, appeared ethereal and untouched by worldly dust. Many people, officials and their wives, bustled before the White residence. The women, about to enter, couldn't help but pause when they saw Vincent Knight alight. It was hard to imagine a man so breathtakingly handsome. Then, under everyone's gaze, he slowly turned, his eyes softening as he looked back at the palanquin, as if it held his most precious treasure. His slender fingers gently lifted the curtain and extended his hand inside. Luna White, looking at the hand before her, felt a pang of envy at its beauty before placing her own hand in his. Slowly, she stepped out of the palanquin. Meeting Vincent Knight's affectionate gaze, Luna White froze. But she quickly recovered. Her princely husband was putting on a show. Since he was doing so, she couldn't let him lose face. With this thought, a sweet, harmless smile bloomed on Luna White's face, her voice soft as she spoke, "Your Highness." That single address, "Your Highness," sent a collective gasp through the crowd. The capital had 5 princes in total, 2 of whom guarded the border. Of the remaining 3, one was Francis Knight, bestowed the title of Moon Prince by the Emperor himself. Francis Knight was renowned for his beauty, but also for his romantic pursuits, spending his days amidst revelry, a true embodiment of a prodigal prince. Secondly, there's the current carefree prince, Theo Knight. He's the son of His Majesty and a peasant woman from outside the palace. His mother, after meeting His Majesty, went from a peasant woman to the current consort Claire. To rise to the rank of consort with no power or influence, one can imagine how much His Majesty favored her. It's also why, when naming Theo Knight, His Majesty did things differently from other princes. He named him Theo, hoping he'd live a carefree life. This prince, skilled in literature and painting, is a true artist, elegant and refined, never flaunting his talents. Compared to the prince before us, there's no similarity whatsoever. So, the identity of the man before us is obvious. Vincent Knight, His Highness Vincent Knight, bearing the title Ghost King. Cold-blooded and ruthless, he kills without a second thought, without any pressure. After regaining their composure, everyone was astonished. The daughters of the noble families only knew Vincent Knight as a dangerous figure, but they didn't know his appearance was devastatingly handsome. In a moment, everyone looked at Luna White beside him, their eyes filled with envy. In this world, is there anyone else who could receive the Ghost King's favor? This old servant greets Vincent Knight and Luna White. "Thank you, Your Highness, for coming." The respectful voice of a middle-aged man broke the silence. Vincent Knight watched Chancellor White hurry out from the residence, chuckled softly, then took Luna White's hand and strode into the courtyard. As he entered, he didn't forget to toss the invitation outside. Seeing this, Chancellor White's lips twitched. A hint of malice flickered in his eyes. As Vincent Knight and Luna White entered the courtyard, the others followed suit. The officials who had been outside were utterly astonished. They all knew of Vincent Knight's handsome features. After all, his mother was the most beautiful woman of her time. What a pity, such beauty met with an untimely end, leaving behind such a calamity. What the officials didn't know was that a woman had actually married Vincent Knight and still lived peacefully. Moreover, she looked quite happy. Because Vincent Knight was so striking, he and Luna White were surrounded by onlookers all the way to the main hall of the White residence. The White residence's main hall was unfamiliar to Luna White. She hadn't been allowed in before. When she married, she didn't even get a glimpse of it. Stepping into the main hall now, Luna White felt a sense of wonder. The hall was adorned in red for the upcoming joyous occasion. Although Stella White hadn't married yet, the double happiness characters were already pasted in her room. The officials were already seated in the main hall. As soon as Vincent Knight and Luna White entered, the officials were first stunned, then, without delay, knelt down. "We greet His Highness, Vincent Knight." Vincent Knight looked at the officials kneeling on the ground, along with their families, and said, "Rise. Today is the engagement banquet of my imperial brother, the Crown Prince, and the White family's second Mississippi. There's no need for formalities." Vincent Knight's tone was gentle, and the officials were surprised to hear it. How could their Vincent Knight be so easy to talk to? The officials rose hesitantly, then saw that Luna White and Vincent Knight had taken their seats, showing no intention of causing trouble. When one grows accustomed to someone's tyranny, indifference, and irrationality, encountering their sudden docility can be jarring. Such was the sentiment of the ministers awaiting the banquet in the Great Hall. Vincent Knight, a familiar figure with whom they'd interacted numerous times, possessed an unbearable arrogance. More accurately, in His Highness Vincent Knight's eyes, he himself was righteousness. Where he trod, bloodshed inevitably followed. He found fault with everyone, every appearance marked by criticism. This uncharacteristic inaction was astonishing. Could it be that marrying a princess had mellowed his temperament? The ministers, harboring a multitude of thoughts, dared not speak first. A heavy atmosphere permeated the court. Finally, Chancellor White's voice from outside broke the silence, rescuing the curious yet apprehensive officials. "I thank you all for gracing me with your presence today," Chancellor White addressed the ministers gratefully. "You are too kind, Chancellor. Such a momentous occasion as the Crown Prince's engagement to your daughter demands our attendance. This small token is a gesture of my respect, please accept it." A minister in pale blue robes, with a full beard, stepped forward obsequiously. Chancellor White, a smile gracing his face upon receiving the gift, replied, "Thank you, Lord Martin." With Lord Martin initiating the proceedings, everyone presented their gifts, some unwrapped, others meticulously concealed, hinting at extraordinary contents. Once the gifts were presented, all eyes turned to Vincent Knight and Luna White. Not everyone was aware of Luna White's severed ties with the Whites, leading many to perceive Vincent Knight as the White family's son-in-law. As the supposed son-in-law, how could he not offer a gesture during his wife's family's celebration, especially when the other celebrant was Crown Prince, Vincent Knight's own brother? Yet, any gesture from Vincent Knight would be even more surprising. The entire capital knew of the bad blood between Vincent Knight and the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince marrying Vincent Knight's beloved had ignited their rivalry. How could he possibly offer a gift with a generous spirit? Amidst the mounting curiosity, Vincent Knight stepped forward. He addressed Chancellor White with a captivating smile, his voice laced with subtle mockery. "Chancellor White, today is a joyous occasion for the Whites. Everyone has offered a token, and I wouldn't want to arrive empty-handed. Perhaps you'd accept a calligraphy piece, personally penned by my princess." With these words, Vincent Knight produced a sheet of paper, clearly torn but meticulously pieced back together. A sense of foreboding washed over Luna White as she saw the paper. Her premonition quickly materialized. Chancellor White accepted the paper and unfolded it. The sight of Luna White's distorted handwriting, forming two barely legible characters, left him utterly speechless. "Although my princess has severed ties with you, Chancellor, I still believe you bear a responsibility in this matter. You should know, receiving this gift was quite a shock." Vincent Knight, initially intending to offer a present, had somehow twisted the act into a demand. Hearing this, Chancellor White's face darkened. He inwardly cursed Vincent Knight's shamelessness, but outwardly, he forced a smile. "Your Highness, you jest. The princess consort has severed ties with the White family, her affairs are no longer our concern." "Is that so?" Vincent Knight continued to smile. Just as Chancellor White thought he'd gotten away with it, Vincent Knight's expression turned somber. He looked at Chancellor White coldly and said, "Since you've said so, Chancellor, I expect you to keep your word. I don't want to see you setting foot in Knight Manor to harass my princess consort again." Vincent Knight's voice was icy, laced with warning. The officials gasped, drawing in a collective breath. See. His Highness Vincent Knight wasn't so easy to deal with. He wasn't causing trouble for them today because he was preparing to confront the Chancellor directly. Well, that wasn't the main point. The main point was, how dare the Chancellor disrespect Luna White? This news left the officials struggling to keep up. Warned by Vincent Knight's words, Chancellor White could only force a strained smile. Remembering the occasion, he swallowed his resentment and respectfully replied, "Yes, Your Highness. I will certainly be mindful in the future." "Good. You mentioned a banquet for your daughter. Where is it being held? I have many matters to attend to today and don't have much time to waste with you." Vincent Knight's casual demeanor showed complete disregard for Chancellor White. Chancellor White seethed, wanting to slap him, but he didn't dare. So, he could only say, "Your Highness, I came here to escort you and the other officials to the banquet. My daughter is already waiting there." "Oh. If the Chancellor's daughter is there, will the Crown Prince also attend?" Vincent Knight asked, looking at the Chancellor. This question further vexed Chancellor White. The Crown Prince always disliked such social events. How could he predict whether he would attend today? Vincent Knight certainly knew how to hit a nerve. Chancellor White felt inwardly annoyed, but outwardly, he could only force a smile and say, of course, how could His Highness the Crown Prince not attend? Your Highness Vincent Knight, esteemed officials, this way, please. With that, Chancellor White led the way. Everyone followed, while Vincent Knight waited for Luna White before joining them. You really didn't have to do that, Luna White whispered on the way. Vincent Knight's actions were meant to prevent Chancellor White from further harassing her. Though touched, she felt it was unnecessary. She had her own ways of silencing her supposed father. I didn't do it for you. I simply dislike people causing trouble in my manner, Vincent Knight said indifferently, taking Luna White's hand. Luna White looked at him, momentarily puzzled. Was Vincent Knight good or bad? She truly couldn't tell. What were his true feelings towards her? They followed the Chancellor to the banquet venue, a place called Snowfall Courtyard, Stella White's separate estate. Snowfall Courtyard was a lush, verdant space. Tables were laid out from indoors to out. The officials and their wives were seated, filling the banquet hall. Only after everyone was settled and the dishes served did Stella White, the hostess, slowly descend from the second floor, accompanied by a maid. A maid held a lute, while Stella White, bearing a slight resemblance to Luna White in her brows and eyes, wore a vibrant red dress that exuded an indescribable allure. She glanced around at everyone, smiling smugly. After settling in, the maid placed the lute before her. Then, in a voice like a nightingale, she spoke, "Thank you, esteemed guests, for attending Tinner's banquet. This banquet was specially prepared for Tinner by my father, and Tinner has also prepared a special lute piece for everyone's enjoyment." With that, her fingers danced across the strings, releasing an elegant melody. While the audience wasn't exactly enraptured, it was undeniable that Stella White, the Chancellor's daughter, played with remarkable skill. As the music ended, the officials applauded. Stella White bowed slightly and then slowly walked away. Upon seeing Vincent Knight and Luna White, a flash of astonishment crossed her face, quickly followed by a flicker of anger. Luna White was nothing but a lowly wretch. If it weren't for her relentless pursuit of the Crown Prince, how could this wretch have landed such a fortunate marriage? The future official wife, whose name would be inscribed on the imperial jade register. While she, Stella, could only be a concubine to the Crown Prince, allowing this low-born wretch to rise above her. Filled with resentment, Stella White glared fiercely at Luna White. Turning back to the officials with a smile, she looked at the festive red decorations and the congratulatory guests, her heart brimming with pride. Though only a concubine, her father had given her a grand banquet and even invited Luna White. Humph! Snatching the man she didn't want and ascending to the position of official wife, how lucky. She had to gain something from this. With this thought, Stella White approached Luna White and Vincent Knight, her phoenix eyes, similar to Luna White's, feigning gentleness. "Your Highness, elder sister, thank you both for attending my banquet. I merely had business with Chancellor White and stopped by along the way," Vincent Knight said coldly, giving Stella White no face. Luna White smiled harmlessly, "I accompanied His Highness. Since he was passing by, I tagged along." Their attitudes made Stella White's face darken slightly, but she quickly recovered, forcing a smile. "Even so, I'm still very touched. When elder sister married His Highness, I was so worried about you that my eyes swelled from crying. Now that I see you safe and sound, I'm relieved." Stella White even pretended to wipe away non-existent tears. Luna White, initially disgusted by her performance, didn't expose her, simply saying, "Is that so? How touching." Luna White's words were laced with sarcasm. Seeing that Luna White wasn't moved, Stella White decided to drop the pretense and provoke her directly. She said, "I naturally care for elder sister. Back home, we often played the lute together. Elder sister's lute skills were breathtaking, and I admired them greatly. Now that you're here, could you perhaps play a piece for us? Luna White's expression remained unchanged, but a flicker of coldness appeared in her eyes. There's a limit to joking. Play the lute. The original owner of this body knew nothing. The original owner was always forgotten by the clan, so who would teach her to play the zither? Stella White clearly wanted to humiliate her. Sister, why don't you say anything? Even a divine personage like His Highness Vincent Knight must be captivated by your zither playing, right? She looked at Luna White, a venomous glint flashing through her phoenix eyes. Humph. That is indeed true, this king is truly captivated by my beloved consort's zither playing. My beloved's zither skills are unparalleled. Vincent Knight's voice suddenly rang out, startling everyone. His Highness Vincent Knight appreciates zither music. Is this a joke? Everyone was astonished. How proficient must Luna White's zither skills be to conquer the cold and aloof His Highness Vincent Knight? At this moment, Luna White just wanted to kill someone. She looked at Vincent Knight, forcing a smile. Your Highness, are you certain you are captivated by my zither playing? Of course, have you forgotten? Before, this king and you once played the zither and flute together, Vincent Knight said, looking at Luna White with a smile. Zither and flute duet. This time, the officials were even more astonished. If it was said that Luna White knew how to play the zither, everyone could believe it. If it was said that Vincent Knight appreciated music, everyone could reluctantly believe it. But, at this moment, Vincent Knight was saying he knew how to play the flute. This matter was truly too shocking. Wasn't he only skilled in fighting and causing trouble? What do you mean? Luna White looked at Vincent Knight and asked in a voice only the two of them could hear. Hearing this, Vincent Knight smiled charmingly. This king finds it very amusing. I don't know how to play the zither. Luna White said sullenly. Actually, she knew how to play, but she didn't want to play for these people. Her zither music was only for a kindred spirit. However, she couldn't tell Vincent Knight that. Based on Vincent Knight's eccentric personality, if she said it, he would probably force her to play, and if she couldn't, he might chop off her hands. What are you thinking about, sister? Why are you hesitating? Could it be that you think your younger sister is not worthy of you playing a piece? Seeing that Luna White remained silent, Stella White thought she was afraid and provocatively taunted her. Ah, you're right, you're not worthy. Lost in thought, Luna White blurted out. After that, the entire hall fell silent. The ministers and their wives wanted to laugh but didn't dare. Stella White's face changed repeatedly, and finally, even her gentle and noble expression became distorted. Ah, I apologize, I misspoke. Pretend I didn't say anything. Realizing she had accidentally voiced her inner thoughts, Luna White retracted her words. With an innocent expression. Then, under Stella White's murderous gaze, she slowly walked towards the zither platform. Tinner, you are my younger sister. If you want to hear me play the zither, as your older sister, even if I don't know how, I must risk my life to play a piece. My talent is meager, though not unparalleled as His Highness thinks, it can be considered unique. After speaking, Luna White flicked her sleeves, forcefully plucked the strings, then released them with a thump. The sound was as unpleasant as a deflating balloon. As soon as the sound rang out, everyone felt a jolt to their senses. Then, they saw Luna White begin to gleefully strum the strings randomly, the jarring sound like a knife scraping against glass. Occasionally, at a crescendo, she would artfully add the sound of a deflating balloon. Stella White, hearing this melody, was stunned. Evan Knight, too, was momentarily speechless. But quickly, he offered a casual smile. That smile, strangely enchanting. During the next piece, everyone deeply understood the meaning of noise. The continuous stream of sounds emitted were hard to imagine as music produced by a zither. Just as the ministers were about to collapse, Luna White finally released the zither, smiling harmlessly, and slightly bowing, showing off one's meager skills before an expert. You even know the expression, showing off one's meager skills before an expert. Wasn't it supposed to be a harmonious flute duet, an unparalleled masterpiece? Are you kidding me? Stella White, lacking the patience of the ministers, jumped in front of Luna White as soon as she descended, angrily questioning. 44 C8 83 F sharp D6A, huh? You actually noticed? Luna White's expression, a blend of, "this isn't scientific, how did you know," infuriated Stella White to the point of fuming. Oh my! You figured it out. Luna White's face was full of disbelief. How could you possibly know, look, making Stella White fume with rage. Pointing a trembling finger at Luna White, you what? Does my dear sister have a stutter? This won't do. I wonder if His Highness the Crown Prince would want a stammering concubine. Luna White's smile became even more harmless. Hearing this, Stella White finally lost her composure, staggering as if about to fall. Hashtag chapter 21, this king cherishes his wife. Oh my. You've discovered it? Luna White's expression was one of utter disbelief. How could you possibly know, look, infuriating Stella White to no end. Hashtag chapter 22, encountering young Master Mo in the back hills. The morning passed swiftly, and with the Crown Prince still absent, Stella White's anticipation curdled into disappointment. The Chancellor's estate's 3-day banquet bored Luna White, though she eagerly awaited the unveiling of their prized Tianshan snow lotus that afternoon. Stella White, however, fumed. Returning to her chambers, she smashed porcelain across the floor. Damnable, damnable, damnable. That slut. Stella White gritted her teeth. My precious, what's wrong? Who dares to provoke you? A woman's voice, gentle and affectionate, drifted in from the doorway. At this, Stella White burst into tears, throwing herself into the arms of the entering woman. Who else but Luna White? That Luna White position should rightfully be mine. It's father's fault, saying Vincent Knight would kill me. Look, Luna White still grinning. She even let His Highness Vincent Knight bully me, with everyone watching. I don't want to live anymore, Stella White sobbed. The woman's brow furrowed. You can't blame your father. No previous Luna White survived, but who knew this Luna White slut would? Your father and I went to the Knight estate, and she dared to show off. She thinks she's a phoenix, but she's just stepped in dog shit. Tinger, don't cry. Now that we're at the White estate, we have ways to deal with her. Yes, Stella White nodded, wiping her tears. At midday, everyone rested in the separate estate. Bored, Luna White wandered outside. The White estate was ostensibly her home, yet her memories of it were scant, filled only with hardship and constant presence. No blood relation, yet unwavering loyalty. Stella White, her own blood, how ironic. Speak of the devil. Luna White thought of Stella White, and there she was, approaching with a cup of ginseng soup. Sister, there you are. I've been looking for you, Stella White said, smiling sweetly. Looking for me? Luna White replied indifferently. Yes, I've been thinking. I was too harsh this morning. You must have been frightened. I made this ginseng soup for you. Drink it, Stella White offered the soup. Luna White accepted it, sniffing. No medicinal scent. But why would Stella White be so kind? Aren't you going to drink it? Afraid it's poisoned? Then I'll drink first. Stella White snatched the cup back and took a sip, then looked at Luna White with feigned hurt. Sister, I offered you the soup hoping we could reconcile. Now that you're married to Vincent Knight, and I'm soon to marry the Crown Prince, we should be closer. The royal family is heartless, we should unite. I was wrong today. Please forgive me. Stella White's demeanor was sincere, though hardly believable. Luna White looked at the soup. She was curious, not about the soup itself, but about Stella White's motive. Intrigued to see what she was up to, Luna White drank it all. A flicker of excitement crossed Stella White's face. Luna White felt a buzzing in her head, then darkness. She collapsed. A malicious grin spread across Stella White's face. She stamped on Luna White's pale cheek. "Slut! See what you get." Clapping her hands, she summoned some maids. "Throw her onto the back mountain." Stella White gloated. "Yes," the maids replied. They looked at Luna White with pity, but out of respect for Stella White, they obeyed. This young miss had been bullied since childhood. Perhaps death on the back mountain was a mercy. Under Stella White's malevolent gaze, Luna White was carried away. In the midday heat, the maids dumped Luna White on the back mountain and left. As they departed, a figure appeared on the forbidden back mountain of the White estate. The man's clothes were ragged, his face scarred. He approached with murderous intent, which vanished as he drew closer. Had Luna White been awake, she would have been astonished. The man, in white robes, had a gentle, pale face with a faint smile. Though disheveled, he remained elegant. "Why is it her?" Marcus Inc. looked at Luna White in surprise, checking her pulse. He realized she'd been drugged. "So careless, just like last time when she barged into my territory," Marcus Inc. chuckled, taking out a porcelain bottle and holding it to Luna White's nose. Luna White slowly stirred. "Ugh, where am I?" She opened her eyes, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. For a moment, she thought she'd transmigrated again. But seeing Marcus Inc. beside her, she realized she'd only been moved. "Miss, you're awake. Are you all right?" Marcus Inc. asked gently. "Marcus Inc." Luna White looked at the man, disheveled but composed. She recognized him as the zither player from the forbidden area of the imperial palace. "Miss White," Marcus Inc. smiled brightly at her greeting. "What are you doing here? Where is this?" Luna White glanced at the time. The Snow Lotus should be out. Damn, she couldn't get it herself. Hopefully, Vincent Knight would be thoughtful enough to get it for her. "I don't know where this is." "I was chased here," Marcus Inc. said. "I was expelled from the palace and came to work at the Chancellor White estate. I offended the young miss and was thrown here." Luna White fabricated a reason. Marcus Inc. looked surprised. "This is already the White estate?" "Yes," Luna White nodded, unsure why he asked. "Do you know how to leave?" Marcus Inc. asked. "No," Luna White shook her head. "That's dangerous. I arrived last night. There are many wild beasts in the mountains. It will be difficult if we have to stay here," Marcus Inc. said worriedly. "It's all right. I'm strong. I can protect you," Luna White said nonchalantly. But her gaze fell on his hand, and her expression changed. She grabbed his hand, staring at the wound in disbelief. "Why? Why ask why?" Marcus Inc., puzzled, looked at Luna White. "Why is your hand injured? Such a skilled musician, why didn't you protect your hands? Your hands are meant for playing the zither, not for getting hurt." Luna White said, taking out a handkerchief to wipe the dirt off his hand. Marcus Inc. looked at Luna White, a flicker of surprise in his usually gentle eyes. Then, a wry smile touched his lips. "You're the first to speak to me like this. Hands for the zither." Humph. He feared his hands had already defiled even the strings. Stained with countless lives, tainted by countless wicked deeds, these hands, he feared, would only be cleansed by being dyed crimson. "Much better now. We don't have any herbs at the moment, but later, when we go into the mountains to gather firewood, I'll see if I can find any medicinal herbs. As for getting out of here, I believe someone will come looking for us soon." Luna White said calmly. She had experienced countless nights in the mountains, so she was quite experienced. Marcus Ink followed Luna White, letting her hold his hand as they returned to the mountain along the path he had just descended. Although he still had many things to handle, after seeing Luna White, he inexplicably lost the will to do anything. Miss White, the bride of the Knight estate, princess consort of Vincent Knight. This woman's identity truly surprised him. Luna White pulled Marcus Ink into the mountains, stopping beneath a large tree. Let's rest here tonight. I'll go gather some firewood. You rest first. After speaking, Luna White left, treating Marcus Ink like a delicate musician incapable of even tying a chicken. She enjoyed listening to the zither and was always gentle with skilled musicians. Even today, when Stella White provoked her so much, she didn't overreact, all because of a beautiful zither melody. Soon, Luna White returned with firewood. When she came back, Marcus Ink was gazing at the moon, his eyes cold and pure, lost in thought. Luna White, watching him, was momentarily stunned. Miss, what's wrong? Just as Luna White was in a daze, Marcus Ink turned to look at her, a deep smile hidden in his eyes, as if the sorrowful person from a moment ago wasn't him. Seeing him like this, Luna White couldn't help but smile faintly. She slowly walked over, placed the bundle of firewood in her arms on the ground, and asked, "Do you have a fire starter?" "Yes," he said, handing the fire starter to Luna White. She took it, lit the firewood, and the two sat together under the tree, quiet but not awkward. Although they weren't well acquainted, Luna White felt that Marcus Ink wouldn't harm her, even though he gave her a dangerous feeling. "You're a strange woman." Just as Luna White closed her eyes to rest, she heard Marcus Ink's voice suddenly ring out. "How so?" Luna White asked curiously. If she had to say, this man named Marcus Ink was the truly strange one. She didn't know why he appeared in the back mountains of the Whites and encountered her. But, when he heard that this place was the Whites, he seemed somewhat relieved. It was truly bizarre. Normally, a woman in this situation would be terrified, but Lady White is very calm, as if you're used to this kind of life. Marcus Ink looked at Luna White, his smile unwavering. "Indeed, I'm used to it. Due to some special reasons, I often have to sleep outdoors. I'm naturally familiar with being in the mountains." "On the contrary, you don't look like someone who can endure this kind of environment, yet you can persevere. That's what's surprising." Luna White's words were true. Looking at Marcus Ink, suspicion about this man arose in her heart. Perhaps I'm used to it too. If I weren't, I would have died in this wilderness." Marcus Ink said with a smile, but the deep meaning in his eyes was difficult to decipher. Luna White didn't continue to ask. Everyone had their secrets, just as she didn't tell him that she was Vincent Knight's princess consort. And he, someone who could play the zither in the forbidden area of the imperial palace, was certainly no ordinary person. "It's a pity there's no zither here. I can't play a tune for you." Marcus Ink sighed. He was very pleased with a listener like Luna White. "Even if there were a zither, you couldn't play tonight. Your hand is injured, playing would not only be inelegant but also worsen the wound. Moreover, I don't want to hear the zither tonight." Luna White's voice was soft. Hearing this, Marcus Ink raised an eyebrow and said, "Is that so? Then, I'll use another way to entertain you." Before Luna White could say anything, he flashed forward, embraced her, and gently pressed her to the ground, his eyes tender. "What do you mean by this?" Luna White looked calmly at the man, not panicking at their close proximity. On the contrary, she became even calmer, because there was no lust in his eyes, only a calm gaze. Seeing Luna White's fearlessness, Marcus Ink's smile deepened. He lowered his head slightly, and just as he was about to touch her, he picked a bamboo leaf from beside her ear, stood up, and blew on it. Bamboo leaves could produce sound, Luna White knew this, and she had even tried it herself, but she couldn't produce any pleasant melodies. Now, the bamboo leaf in Marcus Ink's hand seemed to have a soul of its own. The sound was melodious and graceful, extremely pleasing to the ear. Luna White listened quietly, her mood gradually calming. Moonlight streamed down through the trees. The two sat side by side, a small distance between them, but it made them seem even more intimate. As if these two were meant to be together. While Luna White and Marcus Inc. were relatively carefree in the forest, things were not so peaceful elsewhere. In the main hall of the Whites, Chancellor White knelt on both knees, drenched in cold sweat, looking at Vincent Knight sitting high above. He truly wished he could slap him out of the house, but how could he dare? Vincent Knight was already terrifying normally, and now, with Luna White missing from the Whites, Vincent Knight was certain that the Whites had harmed her. In this situation, no matter what he wanted to say or do, there was nothing to say, nothing to do. As for that Luna White, she was of no use at home and caused him more trouble by marrying Vincent Knight. She was a jinx. Chancellor White, it's getting late. Shouldn't you explain to this king where my princess consort has gone? From above, Vincent Knight leaned back lazily in his chair, toying with a Tianshan snow lotus, his eyes icy. Hashtag Chapter 24, Chancellor White's unwarranted suffering today, at the banquet, when the heavenly mountain snow lotus appeared but Luna White hadn't returned, he had a bad premonition. Luna White's primary reason for coming was this snow lotus, as she seemed utterly uninterested in the Whites' banquet, had Vincent Knight not mentioned it. The unexpected result was her disappearance. Although Vincent Knight believed Luna White wouldn't be harmed, given her abilities, it wouldn't be easy for anyone to kill her. But just the thought of his princess vanishing right under his nose made him restless. Someone dared to act right beside him, how audacious. Vincent Knight seethed with rage. Meanwhile, Chancellor White felt utterly exasperated. How could he possibly know where the princess had gone? He wasn't her keeper. Unable to voice these thoughts, Chancellor White could only reply miserably, "Your Highness, I truly don't know anything about this." "Is that so? Yet my princess disappeared from your estate." How about this? You may only leave when my princess returns. If my princess doesn't return within 2 days, I'll send you to the west, what do you think? Vincent Knight asked, his gaze fixed on Chancellor White. Nothing good at all. Hearing Vincent Knight's words, Chancellor White felt the pressure mount. Numerous people were already searching for Luna White within the estate, but what if they couldn't find her? Thinking of Vincent Knight's usual methods, he shuddered. At the same time, in Miss White's courtyard, Lady White watched her daughter calmly sipping tea, pacing anxiously, "Oh dear, my dear Tin, let's release Luna White. Your father is being held by the prince. If we don't release Luna White, I fear he won't survive." "Mother, what's the rush? Releasing her now won't help. We'll wait until tomorrow morning and act like we just found her. Then, Luna White, disheveled and who knows what happened to her, will be discovered at the back of the mountain. We have plenty of ways to claim we weren't involved." Stella White remained incredibly composed, no longer the helpless, weeping mess she was earlier with Lady White. Lady White knew her daughter well. Seeing Stella White's unwillingness to release Luna White, she resigned herself to waiting with her until morning. Had she known the Chancellor would be implicated, she would never have allowed Tin to do such a thing. Mother and daughter, united on the same front, completely forgot about the head of the household suffering in the main hall. If Chancellor White knew the real reason behind this and Stella White's current thoughts, he would surely cough up blood in anger. But alas, the human heart is difficult to fathom, and Chancellor White remained blissfully unaware. At this moment, he was cursing the one who had taken Luna White. Late at night, in the mountains, Luna White gradually drifted off to sleep. Without a pillow, her head instinctively fell onto Marcus Inc.'s shoulder. Feeling the weight on his shoulder, Marcus Inc. stirred slightly. Looking at the sleeping woman beside him, his heart fluttered. Under the moonlight, her lovely, fair face was bathed in a silvery glow. Seeing Luna White like this, Marcus Inc. couldn't resist reaching out to touch her face. then quickly retracted his hand as if shocked, chuckling wryly. Marcus Inc. gently placed her head on his lap, his gaze softening as he stroked her soft hair. His tender eyes seemed to be gazing upon a precious treasure. For Marcus Inc., Luna White had given him many firsts. The first time being treated this way by a woman, the first time waiting for a woman to gather firewood for him, the first time someone dared to use him as a pillow, the first time wanting to be gentle with another person. After watching Luna White for a long while, Marcus Inc. finally stopped stroking her hair and instead pressed her sleep acupuncture point, preventing her from waking up. Once he finished, a figure dressed in black knelt respectfully from the shadows. "Master. Rise. Master, do we need to deal with this woman?" The palace guard looked at Luna White lying on his master, feeling she was courting death. His master never liked anyone getting close, yet she dared to treat him this way. But what surprised him was that after meeting this woman, his master warned him not to appear. Her. "No need, she's still useful to me." Hearing his master's words, the palace guard respectfully nodded. "Then master, what should I do?" "Return to the estate and tell that woman I'm at the Whites, tell her to meet me tomorrow." Marcus Inc.'s voice was faint. The black-clad palace guard, upon hearing this, bowed respectfully and left. After the palace guard departed, he turned back and released Luna White's sleep point, letting her continue to sleep. A night without conversation passed, and the next morning, Luna White was awakened by shouts echoing through the mountains. Startled awake, she realized she had been lying on someone's lap all night, feeling a bit embarrassed. By then, Marcus Inc. was also awake. Seeing Luna White sit up, he smiled gently. "Miss, you're awake." "Yes, thank you for last night." "Young master." Luna White expressed her gratitude shyly. "You're welcome, Mississippi. I'm a man, it's only natural to do a little something for you. But it seems people are coming to find you from the foot of the mountain." Marcus Inc. smiled at Luna White. "I suppose so. Young master, will you come down the mountain with me?" Luna White asked. Hearing this, Marcus Inc. pondered for a moment, then nodded. "All right, I also happen to have something to discuss with Chancellor White." With that, the two followed the direction of the calls down the mountain. Today, the search party consisted entirely of palace guards from Chancellor White's estate. Seeing Luna White descending with a man, they all exchanged bewildered glances. When the two reached the foot of the mountain, they were escorted to the main hall. At this time, the main hall held not only Chancellor White and Vincent Knight but also Stella White and Lady White, who had come to watch the commotion. Hearing the palace guards report that Luna White was coming down with a man, Stella White nearly jumped for joy. Looking at Vincent Knight's darkening expression beside her, she felt even more satisfied. Although she couldn't marry Vincent Knight now, it shouldn't be Luna White's turn either. That woman had done something wrong, and Vincent Knight would definitely not forgive her. Thinking this, Stella White eagerly awaited Luna White's entrance. However, when Luna White actually entered, the expressions of everyone present shifted. Luna White still wore the same orange-yellow attire from yesterday, with only a few wrinkles and dust on her. But that wasn't the main point was the person beside her. The man beside Luna White, dressed in moon-white robes, though slightly tattered, wasn't the focus of everyone's attention. It was his face. This man possessed a gentle and refined appearance, his smile elegant. He seemed innately gentle, like a piece of fine jade. Yet, everyone present was startled. Because they recognized him. Chancellor White, observing the figure at the doorway, his expression shifting repeatedly, finally dropped to his knees with a thud. "Your old servant." "Chancellor." Before Chancellor White could finish, Marcus Inc. interrupted him, then crouched down, warning him not to reveal his identity. "The Crown Prince?" Stella White's face also changed. Seeing the Crown Prince and Luna White emerge, her expression contorted, yet she hastily knelt. Everyone present, except for Vincent Knight and Luna White, knelt. Luna White, witnessing Chancellor White kneeling, couldn't help but be astonished, yet maintained her composure. She had long known his extraordinary status, but she hadn't expected even Chancellor White to kneel. This person must also be some kind of prince. As everyone knelt, Luna White quietly moved away from the man, then went to Vincent Knight's side, saying, "Your Highness. Where did my beloved consort go?" Vincent Knight looked at Luna White, his smile like a June rose, so enchanting, but Luna White knew very well that this was all a facade. At this moment, he was absolutely furious. "Reporting to your Highness, yesterday, I don't know why, but after a nap, I woke up at the back of the Chancellor residence. Fortunately, I met young Master Marcus Inc. and was able to return safely." Luna White's demeanor was very calm, but when she mentioned Marcus Inc., she deliberately showed respect. Her reverence caused the white-clad young master standing beside her to stiffen momentarily. But he quickly relaxed. He had long anticipated this day. He wasn't young Master Marcus Inc. at all, but the current crown prince, Vincent Knight. And the woman before him was Vincent Knight's princess consort, his legitimate wife, officially and rightfully so. Before, when he learned that Luna White was Vincent Knight's princess consort, he was a little disappointed. At the same time, when he heard that the Chancellor White's household had another daughter, a glimmer of hope arose in his heart. Although not from the same mother, they were sisters, and there would be some similarities. Because of this, he agreed to Chancellor White's request to marry his daughter, Stella White, as a secondary consort. And today, looking at Luna White, then at Stella White, Vincent Knight's heart was filled with disappointment. It turned out they weren't very much alike. "Your Highness." Stella White's voice was soft, her eyes full of tenderness as she looked at Vincent Knight. Hearing this, Vincent Knight responded with a smile, "Lady White, who are you calling? There's no Your Highness here. I still have matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave." Vincent Knight's attitude was very indifferent. After speaking, he looked deeply at Vincent Knight, seemingly displeased, and quietly left. Stella White, unable to keep the crown prince, felt some dissatisfaction in her heart, but she didn't dare to express it. After all, she was also at fault for yesterday's events. But just because she didn't dare to express it didn't mean Chancellor White didn't dare. Seeing his future son-in-law leave with his married daughter, who had severed ties with him, the rage in Chancellor White's heart was imaginable. Looking at Luna White, Chancellor White spoke meaningfully, "Princess consort is truly fortunate. After a night away, you were with that esteemed gentleman. You should know, he never lets anyone get close. It's just, I don't know how Princess consort managed to meet him at the back of the Whites, and even spend the night there." Chancellor White's words weren't profound, but they didn't need to be. What he wanted to emphasize was that Luna White and the Crown Prince had spent the night together, and that the Crown Prince treated her differently from others. The implication was that Luna White and the Crown Prince were having an affair. Hearing Chancellor White's words, Luna White's face remained expressionless. She simply smiled faintly and said, "It's nothing. I just happened to meet young Master Marcus Inc. on the mountain. Compared to this, I'm very curious, why did I just drink a cup of ginseng tea and wake up at the back of the residence? Also, Chancellor, you mentioned that esteemed gentleman, who is he?" Luna White's words were profound. And the two words, ginseng tea, immediately caused Chancellor White's face to change. He looked at Stella White, then at Lady White, and instantly understood. And Vincent Knight, who was originally angry, also understood upon hearing this. He stood up and pulled Luna White, his attitude cold. "The tea of the Chancellor residence is truly remarkably effective. I've learned a lesson. I will certainly repay this great kindness in the future." After speaking, Vincent Knight pulled Luna White and left. After everyone had left, Chancellor White looked at his daughter and wife with a distorted expression, his face purple with anger. "Speak. What's the matter with the ginseng tea? Shinger, yesterday's confrontation with her was considered over. Why did you do this kind of thing? If His Highness the Crown Prince really had something happen with Luna White last night, I'll see what you do." Stella White was already feeling wronged. Upon hearing Chancellor White's words, her face turned pale, and tears streamed down her cheeks. Lady White felt sorry for Stella White. Seeing her daughter like this, she hurriedly said, "My lord, it has nothing to do with Xinger. Xinger was so humiliated by that little slut yesterday, I was angry, so I came up with this scheme. Moreover, that little slut is originally a daughter of the Whites. Now that she has grown wings, she wants to escape the Whites and even embarrass you, my lord. If it weren't for her being the princess consort, I really want to kill her," Lady White said hatefully. And these words truly struck Chancellor White's heart. Chancellor White looked at Stella White, then at his wife, and sighed, "I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just that what you did was too easily discovered. If Luna White died, it would only benefit us, but look at the situation now. Father, I didn't do it on purpose. I swear, after I become the Crown Prince's secondary consort, I will definitely be favored by him, then I will take the position of Crown Princess, bringing glory and honor to our Whites." Stella White wiped her tears and sobbed. "I know, Xinger, you're ambitious, and I know your temperament can't tolerate Luna White. But Xinger, sometimes you should endure. Now, the appearance of His Highness the Crown Prince, although a bit unexpected, is not impossible to utilize. You don't need to worry about the next thing. Just watch what I do." "Yes, father." Stella White spoke respectfully, but her heart was filled with unwillingness. On the other side, Luna White and Vincent Knight boarded the palanquin. After settling down, Luna White said, "I troubled you yesterday. If you weren't there, I'm afraid